Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mustang Field, where we are gathered for Week 7. The Mustangs taking on a new opponent, or at least new to Wekiva anyway, the First Baptist Academy Lions, all the way from Naples, coming up to fill a hole in the schedule that was left when the Windermere High School game was canceled. My name is Mark Bargy, the voice of the Mustangs and sports information director here at Wekiva High School, and I am joined tonight by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief. And we'll be taking you through tonight's contest. Neil, the Mustangs put up a valiant effort last week against Edgewater. It was certainly an honorable game. However, it was a game that the Mustangs ultimately lost, leaving them dead even on the season. And so at this point, when you look at the playoff picture, there's two ways to get into the playoffs. You can get in as a district champion or you can get in as a wild card. Now, essentially, the district championship door is kind of closed at this point. Edgewater is kind of the presumptive district champion. They are undefeated, and unless Horizon sweeps their entire district schedule and surprises everyone, Edgewater is certainly the favorite, and Wekiva doesn't really have a mathematical path to becoming the district champion at this point. When it comes to the wild card picture, Wekiva is still in it. When you think about how the wild card works when it comes to the point system, the Max Preps power ranking system, there is still a path for Wekiva to get in, even with a 3-3 record. However, they pretty much have to win. They have to win the two games that they're supposed to win, which would be tonight and Horizon. And yeah, out of the four games
left, and I would say they have to win at least 3 of the 4.
I would agree
to have a reasonable shot.
I would agree that they have to win tonight and a Horizon. Those are the two games where Wekiva is statistically favored to win, and they have to win one of the other two between Apopka and Jones.
And Apopka.
And the reason that Wekiva is still a contender for the wild card spot is because, in spite of the 3 losses, all 3 of those are quality losses against elite programs that really contribute to the strength of schedule, whether you win or lose. But again, if you look at it right now, Wekiva's kind of right on the bubble because the next 4 teams among non-champions get in as wild cards. And so right now, Wekiva's hovering around that 7-8 spot if you look at the non-champions in the region. And so that's where I think this game really, Neil, is a must-win for Wekiva because you don't want to count on winning both the Jones and Apopka games because those are both going to be very difficult games where Wekiva will be the underdog. Not that they're unwinnable, but Wekiva will be the underdog in both of those contests.
The odds are more that they're not going to be able to win both those games than they will.
So really tonight and Horizon kind of do-or-die moments for the Mustangs.
Yeah, and, Mark, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, even though there's still 4 games left, Wekiva is looking at a must-win situation. They have to win, as you mentioned, the next 2 games, of course, tonight, First Baptist Academy, and then Horizon next week. But, of course, if they don't win tonight, the game against Horizon next week doesn't matter. And certainly those last 2 games against those top-tier teams, the Jones Tigers and Apopka Blue Darters, aren't going to matter either. So, I'd also point out, too, as you mentioned, that goes back to the fact that they're 3-3. And, yes, I know last year they got in with a 5-5 record. But, again, it's usually you don't get in with 5-5.
This is not the NFC South. You can't have a losing record and be the champion.
Yeah. Last year, they beat Apopka in the final game, and with 7 seconds remaining, yes, it was dramatic. It was suspenseful. Certainly made for great entertainment. But the fact is that they needed some help along with that great finish, and they got it, and you can't count on that every season. So, again, they come in tonight. Really, the biggest problem, Mark, we've talked about this, is just, for lack of a better way of saying it, they have tendencies, this is Wekiva, to be undisciplined. They're committing over about 12 penalties per game, an average of 12 penalties. One of the games, I believe they had 18. Their average is about 120 yards. That's a whole length of the field and then a quarter. But that, along with the turnovers, which last week they did not turn anybody over, but there's other things, the intangible stuff in terms of running the play the right way. So I can see we're getting ready for the pregame festivities as the marching band is making their way, and the floor is yours, my friend.
Good evening, everyone. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Mustang Field for varsity football competition in Week 7. Please welcome our guests, all the way from Naples, from First Baptist Academy. They are the Lions. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Before we begin our game this evening, we ask that you please stand as we honor America with the presentation of colors by the Wekiva High School Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. Tonight's detail is under the command of Cadet Major Rodriguez. Carrying the U.S. flag, carrying the Florida State flag is Staff Sergeant Biggs. The Rifle Guards are Cadets Airman McLean and Airman Kepler. And the Sabres team, Major Diego Hernandez, Lieutenant Colonel Jeremiah Subs, Chief Master Sergeant Leonel Rivera, Second Lieutenant Trinity Eckert, Senior Airman Fenley Jerome, and Airman John Dos Santos. And now, please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem by the Pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band. Our thanks to the detail of the Air Force JROTC as well as the Wekiva High School Marching Band for their participation in this evening's pregame festivities. Please welcome to the field your Wekiva High School Mustangs. And now we invite you to turn your attention to midfield for the coin toss. We'll take this opportunity to thank our officiating crew for tonight's game, and they are referee Rodney Clevenger, umpire Charles Davis, head linesman Charles Young, line judge Christopher Brown, back judge Jeff Pond, and clock operator Eugene Williams. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. We also want to remind those of you here in the stadium, as well as those of you watching online, that we are having some technical difficulties with our scoreboard tonight. We have an electrical problem that is preventing it from turning on. Therefore, the time is going to be kept on the field. They will radio that to the press box from time to time so that we can keep you updated on the time remaining in tonight's game, and of course remind you of the score as the game progresses. We appreciate your patience and understanding on that. And it looks like the Lions have won the toss and elected to receive.
So as we get ready, just a few seconds away from getting underway, Mark. Of course, I want to mention a couple of notes. Number one, most importantly, to Wekiva. You might have seen it. As a matter of fact, you can see it now. Number 0, that's Sincere Edwards, the Pittsburgh commit. He is out today. He was out last week, a knee injury, so Wekiva is going to have to compensate for him. Also, we mentioned First Baptist, first time we've played them ever, but this is not a typical they are Class 1S, but this is not your typical Class 1S team. They are the defending champions, and they certainly can put up the numbers yardage-wise. 331 yards per game, 305 yards per game. Wekiva averaging 331. And they're averaging over 30 points a game. Defense not quite as solid. They're giving up 28 a game. So 3-2 again. They've won a couple by less than a score, and they've lost a couple by less than a score. So we get ready tonight. Again, if you did join us just now, this is a must-win game for Wekiva. They come in 3-3. Again, First Baptist Academy, who, as Mark said, will be receiving, comes in 3-2. Wekiva, because their last 2 games are against the Jones Tiger and the Apopka Blue Darters, teams that most likely, or at least the odds are farther that they're not going to win both, and they will. Need to get victories in their next 2 weeks, and of course that final stretch starts right now with this contest against First Baptist Academy. That's Nate Fritchley leans into the ball, and we are underway at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium from the 10-yard line, straight up the middle. This could be trouble. Slowed down just enough. And the rest of the Mustangs special teams do the rest, but not before a 35-yard return, 1st and 10 from the First Baptiste Academy Lions, 45-yard line.
Watkins has the return to the 42-yard line, and FBA takes over from there with 1st and 10.
Okay, so excuse me, that's actually the 43, so it'll be 1st and 10.
And I will point out, for those of you watching this online, again, the official time is being kept on the field because our scoreboard in the stadium is not operating tonight. So I, personally, your announcer, Mark Barchi, am running the clock on your screen, just trying to split my brain cells between that and announcing. So don't panic if it doesn't stop when it's supposed to stop or start when it's supposed to start. We will periodically synchronize it with the official time on the field.
So we begin with a run, a sweep around the left. It's
Sam Sparacio with the run for the Lions to open up their first drive, and that will get the ball into Mustang territory. The ball spotted at the 45-yard line, 1st and 10.
No huddle offense for the Lions, First Baptist Academy, as they will take over, go back to work at the Wekiva 45-yard line. Get to their offense in a minute. That's Crossan behind center, and he's going to lunge ahead. A solid gain on 1st down, about 3 yards.
Ethan Crossan on the carry, stopped by Zarik Roberts. That'll be good for a gain of 2 yards. 2nd and 8 coming up from the 43-yard
So
line.
One thing very unusual about FBA is they run a tight end, so you only got 3 wide receivers, and so far they're doing well as you get a completion out to Andrew Azunki, one of their 3 wide receivers that run on each play.
Andrew Azunki on the reception, and that is good for a pickup of 3 yards. It takes the ball down to the 40-yard line and brings up 3rd and 5 for the Lions.
So the first 3rd down situation of the game, not only does the Lions FBA run 3 receivers on each play, but they run 3 specific patterns on each. One going less than 5, one going between 5 and 15, and one going over 15 yards. You can see the trips lined up on the near side now.
Trying to draw the Mustangs offside. They
hand it off to Sparacio, who is the Suns' coach, and he is stuffed trying that right side behind the tackle and guard. So Wekiva, the defense, stiffening up as they cross midfield.
Sparacio on the carry, and no gain on the play. It brings up 4th and 5 for the Lions. As we get the drum line coming by as they make their way from doing the national anthem into their places for the stands tunes.
About 200 fans in attendance on the Wekiva side. That's the side in front of us. And FBA is going to go try to convert the 4th down into a 1st down, or at least it appeared so. Now they call a timeout.
Timeout Lions, their first timeout of the first half.
Lions.
And so in spite of giving up a couple of big runs and completions to start the drive, the Mustang defense getting it done here later on in the drive, and we will take a quick break and be right back from Mustang Field. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors of the team meals for tonight's game, Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen. Get a lot for not a lot. Located on International Drive near SeaWorld. Stop by and make sure to thank them for their support of our Mustang athletic programs. Visit cheddars.com to check out their menu and more.
4th and 5, timeout runs. FBA lines up quickly. Crossing getting him lined up. In motion, Sparacio. He'll go wide while the trip's at the near side. The quick pass out, completion. That's Sparacio, who was in motion in the first critical play of the game, goes the way of FBI with the completion.
Sparacio has the catch. That puts the ball at the 34-yard line.
6-yard gain.
1st and 10 on the 4th down conversion.
And so your starting lineup on defense for Wekiva, again mentioned Sincere Edwards, not in the lineup tonight due to an injury. And we'll get to that in just a minute as Sparacio lines him up. Crossan lines him up. Sparacio one back set behind Crossan. Crossan under pressure. This time he throws it wide and incomplete.
No, touchdown.
It is complete.
Touchdown.
And I believe it was Winston Watkins Jr., number 5, came up with that. We'll see here on the replay. Incredible catch.
Catch is made by number 5, Winston Watkins Jr., and that is good for a 34-yard touchdown completion. And the Lions are on the board 6-0. A little under 9 minutes remaining in the first quarter.
So a 40-yard, 34-yard flare down that right sideline. Give Crossan credit through that perfect. Only his receiver could come up with the ball. And while we got a break, no huddle by FBA as the PAT crosses over the net.
Lucas Montejo on the PAT, and that is good. That brings us to a score of 7-0 Lions with just under 9 minutes remaining in the first quarter.
So taking a look at Crossan's stats, which should not be a surprise what he's just done. He was 2 of 3 in that drive. Everything else was on the ground. And he comes in, like we mentioned, FBA, no huddle. They put up 305 yards per game. And Crossan certainly the trigger man in that, a rating of 109.5, 210 yards per game, a 60% completion, and 1,053 yards. Certainly he'll add to that on that drive. Only 2 interceptions and now 14 touchdowns as Wekiva will get the ball for the first time. And a short kick taken. And another good return, even better than FBA's, all the way on to FBA's side. It will be 1st and 10 for Wekiva at the FBA 45-yard line. They trail 7-0.
Joshua Bennett on the return for the Mustangs, and Wekiva will start their first offensive drive with excellent field position. The ball is spotted in Lions territory at the 45-yard line.
So the starting lineup on offense for Wekiva. Up front, Malachi Enriquez in the middle, James Mixon, Shine Love, Mujahid Jefferson, Isaiah McNeish. We'll get to the skilled players in just a minute. Of course, Tyree Davis starting. He's been plagued by a knee injury since the second game. He did play last week against Edgewater, but was one-dimensional. No plays called for him as a rusher. One back set, motion by Bennett, and the first penalty of the game. And I believe it's going to be against FBA. They are walking backwards. As it will be 5 yards, a dead ball foul.
Offsides called against the Lions defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, and a replay of first down.
So it will be 1st and 5 from the FBA 40-yard line as Davis lines his team up in their traditional one-back set. They do not use a tight end like FBA does, and that's Filius who gets to start behind them, and we're going to go to the air right away, right over the middle, incomplete, almost intercepted. I believe that was Gay, the intended receiver. And
pass intended for Anthony Gay falls incomplete. It'll bring up 2nd and 5 for the Mustangs. We did get the official time on that last score. It was 9:16. You may have seen the clock reset.
So your skilled players, as we mentioned, Davis, once again, the senior quarterback under center. Moving into the running back position is Tyree Filius, and your wideouts, Anthony Gay, Jeremy Bennett, Benjamin, and Joshua Bennett, and Michael Ellis. So we go back to work now, 2nd and 5. The handoff to Filius. He's going to sweep to the right. Tries to cut back, nowhere to go. But nonetheless, he'll gain that first down. Some hard running at the end there after he turned upfield. And Wekiva with its first down of the ball game.
Tyree Filius on the carry for the Mustangs. He's got a gain of 6. He needed 5. That's enough to move the chains for Mustang. First down. Ball spotted at the 34-yard line. 1st and 10, Wekiva.
So both these teams with strong returns on the kickoff, setting up their possession. Of course, FBA moving the ball into the end zone, taking the 7-0 lead with the PAT. Wekiva trying to answer now. Wekiva 3-3 in a must-win tonight. The pitch out to Filius. 2nd straight carry as he plows ahead. And looked like he gained, I think that was 4 yards. They'll move down to the last third of the field.
Tyree Filius on the carry for the Mustangs. Pick up a 5 to take the ball down to the 29-yard line of Lions territory. 2nd and 5 coming up for Wekiva.
So to quote Hank Stram, Wekiva now in the keep matriculating the ball down the field. 6 yards, 5 yards, nothing spectacular, just setting them up for 2nd and short. And there's an incomplete pass right off the hands. So that'll bring up 3rd and 5.
Pass intended for Michael Ellis falls incomplete. 3rd and 5 coming up for the Mustangs.
2nd, 3rd down conversion for Wekiva. Wekiva coming in averaging 331 yards per game, 208 on through the air, which is very unlike Wekiva. They've been a running team throughout their history, 123 rushing the ball. And Tyree Davis still looking to find his mojo and his rhythm, only a 67 QB rating and 43% chance to get it up. He flips it up into the air, and that's wide, even if it did get underneath the receiver there. I believe
pass
that was
intended for Jabari Smith falls incomplete, and that will bring up 4th and 5 for the Mustangs. So, Neil, this is what you and I all season have been calling no man's land. This is very likely out of range for Fritchley. It would be a challenging field goal to make at this point, not to mention 3 points may not be very useful here. You're too far into the field to punt, so this is almost an obvious go-for-it on 4th down situation.
Roughly 8 minutes ago, Wekiva already facing a critical play, and they will convert. The swing pass, good job by Davis, coming off a couple of incomplete passes and wild throws.
Pass is complete to number 4, that's Jabari Smith, and that is enough to move the chains on the 4th down conversion. The ball is spotted at the 15-yard line, make it the 16, 1st and 10 Wekiva.
So it's a 13-yard completion, first completion of the game for Tyree Davis, who, as we mentioned, has been struggling this year. Of course, part of that's an injury, 43% completion. And this time they go back to the ground with Bennett chugging ahead, spinning. Nothing fancy there, just breaking through some tackles. And when all said and done, it'll be another first down at the FBA 7-yard line. So a 9-yard gain.
Bennett on the carry for the Mustangs. Pickup of 9 to take the ball down to the 7-yard line. 2nd and 1.
Okay, so it's 2nd and 1. Wekiva trying to answer the opening drive, resulting in a touchdown from FBA, the Class 1S defending champions. And handoff again and smothered right as he hit the line of scrimmage. It'll be a 3-yard loss. That was Filius.
Filius on the carry, a loss of 3 on the play. 6 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
So Wekiva now facing a 3rd and 4. Once again trying to answer FBA's opening drive, resulting in a touchdown. Still early, midway through the first quarter. That time is approximate. The scoreboard is not working here at Baptiste Orthodox Stadium. As Davis goes to the corner of the end zone. Caught and touchdown.
Pass is complete to Javari Smith for a Mustang touchdown.
So they went to that play, the flare to the left sideline. Davis to Smith on the last 3rd down attempt, none successful. This time it is successful, 10 yards and 7-6 with the PAT pending. Nate Fritchley coming in, and a mistake-prone team last week. Fritchley missing a couple of PATs as well as a 27-yard field goal. See if he can do better this week. And this time, no problem, and we are tied at 7-7, roughly 5:23 mark of the first quarter. Live from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium next to State Route 414 in southeast Apopka.
PAT by Fritchley is good, and that ties the game 7-7 with 6 minutes, 2 seconds remaining in the first quarter. And we've reached the midpoint of the first quarter, and so we'll pause for an official timeout. 7-7 your score, 6:02 remaining in quarter number 1.
Davis is in. And welcome back to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs, who just tied the score at 7-7, a must-win game for the Mustangs as they come in with a 3-3 record. We'll get to that in just a minute. Touchdown set up by strong kickoffs. Both of those kickoffs going over 35 yards. FBA moving the ball 57 yards, culminating in a 34-yard touchdown. Ethan Crossan to Winston Watkins Jr. Wekiva answering with a 10-yard move, moving the ball 55 yards. Another strong return. Watkins motoring straight through the field. He goes down right at midfield. Wekiva's touchdown drive ending with a 10-yard pass from Davis to Smith along the left sideline. Again, 55 yards moving the ball.
Winston Watkins on the return has the ball to midfield. And the Lions take over from there with 1st and 10.
So didn't get a chance on that first drive. FBA going no huddle. They use a tight end, 3 receivers. We'll get to those defensive up front. The big guys, Lamar Tyson, Anthony Rozier, Greg Jones, Jalen Barnes, Sincere Edwards out tonight. So they're going with a four-man front. The swing pass out to Jaden Pettit, and he'll pick up 5 from Crossan.
Pass is complete to Jaden Petit. And he has a pickup of 5 yards that puts the ball in Mustang territory at the 45-yard line. 2nd and 5 coming up for the Lions.
2 possessions for FBA. 2 times they move into the Wekiva side of the field. So the rest of your defense for Wekiva, Jabari Smith in the secondary. Lamar Tyson, Greg Jones also back there as Crossan takes the snap, swings it wide, and another completion, a diving catch. Good athleticism. As FBA continues
Pass is
to move
complete
that ball.
from Crossan to number 11, Landon Wolney, who came back for it. He did touch the ground, so the ball is dead in high school immediately when your knee goes down. That puts, actually no, it puts the ball back at the original line of scrimmage, so that was ruled no catch, and it remains 3rd down at the 45.
First incomplete pass of the game for FBA.
Yeah, at first it looked like everybody thought that was a catch, and the chains looked like they were going to move, and then the official put the ball right back where it was before. So that must have hit the ground.
Crossan sets up the team again. The one-back set. Quick pass over the middle, and this time incomplete. In the first.
Crossan's path is thrown away and incomplete. 4th and 5 now coming up for the Lions. Well, Neil, I'm getting a strange sense of deja vu. I feel like
Yes.
we've been about in this situation before.
So, again, I'm going to just give you the starting lineup on defense for Wekiva. I'm not going to try to do it by position because the game's just moving too quickly. Jabari Smith, number 4, secondary. Lamar Tyson, number 7, secondary. Up front, Anthony Rozier. Also Michael Ellis up front. Greg Jones in your secondary. Jalen Barnes, the linebacker. Tyrese Alexis, the other linebacker. Cypron Peoples, also linebacker. Up front, Xavier Stevens. Mujahid Jefferson, rounding out that defensive. And now a bad punt and getting rid of it on the run was Sparacio, the running back. And he did a good job to get rid of that and actually moved that ball about 40 yards.
Sparacio on the punt.
Roughly 4:24 remaining in the first quarter, tied 7-all. And we just got word it's actually 5:25. So please remember tonight we are going approximately on that game clock. The scoreboard here is not working.
I'll try to keep it plus or minus 30 seconds for you, but I am announcing and directing and running the scoreboard. So
as Wekiva takes over at its own 15-yard line, Wekiva in a must-win situation, even though there's 4 games remaining after losing last week to Edgewater. Golden opportunity to really make some headway towards entering the playoffs as either a division champion or a wild card. Unfortunately, just critical mistakes at critical times. Same old story for Wekiva this whole season, as Davis out of the shotgun, hands off to Bennett, who was in motion, swings it back the other way, and he lurches ahead. There'll be about a 3-yard gain.
pickup of 2 on the carry for the Mustangs brings up 2nd and 8 from the 22.
So, of course, the other voice you're hearing is Mark Barchi. He's also the play-by-play announcer here at Wekiva High School on the southeast side of Apopka. I'm Neil Fisher. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night. So, talking about last week's game, Wekiva found themselves in a 2022 ball game midway through the 4th quarter. Actually, about 9 minutes remaining. We'll get back to that as they're going 2 on each side receivers. A quick screen, the bubble into the flat, some juking, some jiving, and not quite a first down, but it'll set up 3rd and short. I believe that was Gay. Actually, that was Filius, number 3.
Tyree Filius on the carry for a pickup of 7. And make it 8. It is just enough to move the chains for a Mustang first down.
So last week, Sir Samaj Fleming getting the winning touchdown for Edgewater against Wekiva. He was in motion, took the handoff, swept to the left, and Wekiva went to the wrong positions, about 6 players. Next thing you know, 38 yards later, Edgewater has what turns out to be the eventual winning points in that 29-22 game as Filius taken down right at the line of scrimmage.
Tyree Philly is on the carry for the Mustangs. The stop is made by Lions' Nathan Cox for no gain. That brings up 2nd and 10 for the Mustangs from their own 30.
And Wekiva taking a page out of the FBA book, going no huddle, trips on the near sideline, quick pass over the middle. That's Benjamin, and he'll pick up around 5, setting up 3rd and middle distance.
Jeremy Benjamin on the play for the Mustangs. Dominic Davis has the stop for the Lions. That's good for a pickup of 7 yards. And it brings up 3rd and 3 for the Mustangs from their own 37-yard line.
So a couple more than it initially appeared. 3rd and short. Davis swings it out under pressure, and he just had to get rid of that ball. That was number 13, Antonio Amato, getting in the grill of Davis and forcing that pass before Davis could set or the receivers completing their route. And actually, Amato, only a freshman, and certainly you can see why he's on the team on that play. Both teams scoring on their first possession, set up by strong kickoff returns, over 35 yards.
3 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in the first quarter. That is official now. We just got that update from the field, so I was only about 10 seconds off.
The second drive, which Wekiva's just came to an end. Not the same story, neither team able to gain a first down. And we remain at 7-7, an FBA bounce on that short kickoff.
There is a flag on the play. We saw a little bit of a fracas going on about the 45-yard line away from the ball. Actually, 2 penalty markers down. I suspect this is going to be some form of unnecessary roughness. We'll see.
Yeah, usually is after the kickoff return ends. So talked about the game last week against Edgewater. Just a lot of mistakes by Wekiva. They missed 5 points. Nate Fritchley, again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be negative, but the fact still remains. Fortunately, Nate did miss 2 PATs in a field goal, but Coach Schwartz, and that's going to be against FBA. Actually, I believe they're offsetting. Yes, they are offsetting.
Holding is called against the receiving team and unsportsmanlike conduct against the kicking team.
So it'll be a difference. So I assume both those penalties were against FBA then, if they're being marked off.
Well, no, it's because one was a live ball penalty and the other was a dead ball penalty. That's why they don't
okay,
offset.
well, they're marking both of them off.
Yeah.
So. And it's going to actually go 5 yards to FBA's benefit.
And after you carry the 1 and do a little long division, the ball is spotted just inside Mustang territory at the 49-yard line. And the Lions will start their drive from there.
So as I was saying, against Edgewater last week, Nate Fritchley did kick a 27-yard field goal as Sparacio takes the handoff, and I believe this is going to come back. There was a flag as soon as the play began. It's usually holding. But that field goal was the result of Wekiva not being able to put the ball in from the 3-yard line. And Coach Schwartz, of course, also pointed out the fact that, yes, they did get 3 points, which is better than nothing on that field goal, but it was 1st and goal from the 3-yard line, and thus you left another 4 points on the field. Wekiva also committed, as they have all season, double digits in penalties.
Illegal procedure is called against the Lions offense. That would have been a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, a replay of down, but the Mustangs will decline that. They'd rather have the loss of down, so it's a loss of 1 on the play, brings up 2nd and 11.
Sparacio with the run, and that'll put the ball right at midfield. 7-7 ball game as we hit the stretch of the first quarter. Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the site. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night as Crossan rolls right under pressure, gets rid of that ball.
Pass is intended for Winston Watkins and falls incomplete. Time update, 2 minutes, 29 seconds remaining in the first quarter. And that will bring up 3rd and 11 for the Lions from midfield.
So against Edgewater last week, Wekiva committed 15 penalties for 125 yards. And now on 3rd down, that's crossing, rolling right, gets rid of the ball. Under pressure, being chased, and it's a completion. And it's going to be right by the first down marker. And yes, it is enough as I see the markers being moved.
Jaden Petit on the completion. Tyrese Alexis has the stop for the Mustangs, but it is enough for a Lions first down. Ball is spotted at the 38-yard line for a pickup of 12, 1st and 10 FBA.
So FBA on the march again. Both teams scoring on their first possession. Strong kickoff returns over 35 yards, setting both those touchdowns up. And again, even though FBA is Class 1S, the lowest in terms of number, they do come in the defending state champions, averaging 305 yards a game, a quarterback who is extremely efficient, crossing with a 109.5, and we have seen that tonight on 2 of their 3 possessions. We mentioned their 3 leading receivers. We mentioned that each receiver is assigned to one specific route based on distance. One receiver going short under 5, one going intermediate 5 to 15, and one going long over 15. And I'll get to that in just a minute as the pitch out to Sparacio. He cuts it back, slams ahead, and picks up, I believe that was 3 yards.
Sparacio on the carry for the Lions, and that's a pickup of a long 3. Puts the ball at the 35-yard line, and it brings up 2nd and 7 for FBA.
So your 3 receivers, leading receivers, who each takes one of those distance route. You got Pettit with 29 receptions, Azumki with 15, and Walney was 13. And then Watkins, your wild card. This is only the 2nd game he's played this season. Had 5 coming in tonight, but 178 yards, 36 yards in total. As the interception from Bennett, he's been doing that all season. He's got room to motor. One man to beat, 50, 40, 30, 20, cuts back, and is taken down, but not before he goes all the way down to the FBA 17-yard line, and the first major strike of the game.
Joshua Bennett with the INT, and he takes it almost all the way to the house. He gets down to about the 15-yard line, and the Mustangs will take over from there. We've got just about 1 minute to play here in the quarter.
So Bennett jumping the route, and Bennett, of course, going both ways, the leading interceptor for Wekiva, intercepted that ball at the 30-yard line and only had put on a couple of jukes and jives over the next 5, and then he had one man to beat.
57 seconds, copy.
So, and actually, that's going to be called back, Mark. I guess there was a penalty. And yes, the ball's now at the 40-yard line, so that must have been a penalty against Wekiva. It's only 5 yards, but certainly would have been a great momentum shifter. It certainly got the crowd juiced. So again, talked about it all season. Okay, it is going to be Wekiva's ball. They will take over.
Block in the back was called against the Mustangs after the interception. So Wekiva will retain possession of the ball, but the ball does come back to their own 40-yard line.
So 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Wekiva nonetheless opportunity to go ahead for the first time today, and Davis has to get rid of that ball. That was a live to fight another day pass.
Pass intended for Bennett falls incomplete. 2nd and 10 coming up for the Mustangs. So 54 seconds remaining in the first period. And again, of course, the block in the back is probably a significant factor in why Bennett was able to get so much yardage off of that INT. So that's why that penalty exists, of course. But, of course, as you mentioned, Neil, still good news for Wekiva, just maybe not quite as brilliant news as it could have been. But Wekiva will certainly take it as FBA seem to be on the move there and have a little momentum, and that certainly swings the pendulum in Wekiva's favor as we get ready to wrap up the first 12 minutes here at Mustang Field.
Davis out of the shotgun, one back set again. Filius, the starter tonight at that position. Gay taking the handoff. He's going to swing it through the middle. Nothing doing. FBA sniffed that one out from the beginning. As a matter of fact, I think Bennett lost a yard.
And the carry for the Mustangs for a gain of 1. That puts the ball at the 41-yard line, brings up 3rd and 9.
So Wekiva facing another third down opportunity. Third down conversion attempt. 7-7 the score, as you heard Mark. That's Mark Barchi, who's also the public address announcer at Wekiva High School, say. We are almost done with the first quarter. Davis dropping back lots of times, now under pressure. Throws it, a catch, but it will be
dangerous.
short. So a nice spiral thrown by Davis, but
Pass is complete to Tyree Davis. And Tommy Cusick is there to make the stop. That puts the ball at the 48-yard line for a pickup. And that takes us to the end of the first quarter. The Mustangs will pick it up again with 4th and 2 once we march the ball all of 4 yards to switch it to the other side of the field. And we'll be back in just a moment with more from Mustang Field here on Week 7. We're tied 7-7. Lions 7, Mustangs 7 at the end of the first quarter. Fans, if you want some of the best fried chicken wings, fried shrimp, fried fish, and fries, go see Ms. Mel's Kitchen at the Purple Tent, located behind the end zone. And, of course, if you're listening to us online, well, go visit Ms. Mel's next time you have a chance.
So back to live action from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs, who find themselves in a 7-7 tie. About to begin the second quarter, 4th and 2. That's Nate Fritchley doing the punting. And this will take a neutral bounce, going straight up and down.
Punt will be downed by the Mustangs at the 27-yard line. And that is where the Lions will take over with their first offensive possession of the second quarter. Well, Neil, I think that's the farthest back anybody started all game.
Yes, it is. And so again, FBA, the defending 1S champion, state champion, no huddle. They like to go with the tight end, 3 receivers. And certainly we have seen their efficiency, 305 yards per game, and that's incomplete. As Watkins Juniors, who had the first big blow with the kickoff return on the opening kickoff, was the intended receiver. FBA back to work. And this time to go on the ground with Sparacio, and he picks up some yards motoring on that left side. And that'll bring up 3rd and short. $11:10 remaining approximately. Again, if you joined us late, our scoreboard here at the stadium is not working. So please bear with us. We are doing the best we can to keep the score within 30 the clock within 30 seconds. We are tied 7-7. Wekiva were playing without Sincere Edwards, the Pittsburgh commit, the D lineman. as Crossan takes the snap under pressure now, steps up, and he's going to slide right in the middle there. Picked up a couple yards, but still short of the first down. So that'll leave FBA, I believe it'll be 4th and 3, actually 4th and 4. So the Wekiva defense comes up again big after that initial solid play on first down, first gain.
Fourth and 2 coming up for the Lions after the slide by Crossan. So they'll go 3 and out. I think that's the first 3 and out we've seen tonight, Neil.
Well, it's the first for FBA. And the
no!
Caught and dropped. And that was number 22.
The pass intended for Dominic Davis is broken up by Jalen Barnes of the Mustang defense. And so Wekiva will take over on downs, overcoming the fake punt attempt. And they'll have excellent field position at the Lions' 35-yard line. So, Neil, that's one of the advantages. You don't see this a lot.
Yeah, you don't see that, again.
You don't see that a lot at the college and professional levels, but at the high school levels, it was actually not that uncommon to have your free kicker or punter also be your quarterback, and that makes those fake-out scenarios a lot easier. Just because you see the quarterback on the field doesn't mean.
I don't think the fake itself is a surprise given FBA's style. And as we mentioned, they're a very efficient team. You just don't expect it at your own 35-yard line. So Wekiva will take over, as you heard Mark say, 1st and 10 at their own the FBA 35. Golden opportunity to go in front and really take control of the dynamics and feel of this game. We're going to get a penalty first.
Offsides called against the Lions. That's a 5-yard donation to the Mustangs' cause. That puts the ball at the 30-yard line and brings up 1st and 5.
And again, if you joined us late, Wekiva, even though 4 games remaining, they are in a must-win situation with the 3-3 record, and after losing to Edgewater last week, effectively eliminating them from any chance of getting into the playoffs as the district champion. They now have to rely on the wild card, which means you have to rely on the point system, the power rankings, as Davis slings it down the middle. Caught, eludes the tackle. Gay, touchdown. Wekiva converts the opportunity.
Anthony Gay, 30 yards into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown.
Approximately 10:33 remaining, first quarter. And Wekiva taking the 13-7 lead. PAT pending as Fritchley comes in. So FBA rolls the dice on their possession. And, you could really say that touchdown was set up by Jalen Barnes. And about half a second on that fake punt, he got his hand just in front of the receiver, knocked the ball down, and that gave Wekiva possession at the FBA 35 as Fritchley kicks it up, and this time he's good.
Fritchley's PAT is good. That gives the Mustangs a 14-7 lead with 10 minutes, 36 seconds remaining in the first half. Again, 10 minutes, 36 seconds, the time remaining in the second quarter.
And so Wekiva, after Jalen Barnes, knocks the fake pass on the punt or the pass on the fake punt down. They need one play, after a penalty and then one play. Davis finding Gay at about the 5-yard line. He spins out of the tackle of 2 secondary players and struts into the end zone. And Wekiva, again, 14-7 in this must-win game if they want to get into the playoffs. As we mentioned, still 4 games remaining, but Wekiva eliminated from the district championship contention last week with the loss to Edgewater, so now they have to rely on a wild card, which if you're new to Florida football, high school football, that is based on the formula, aka the power rankings used by the FHSAA. 4 wild card positions available along with 4 district championships. And it's based on points and your opponent, as this time we're not going to get nearly as strong a run back. It'll be 1st and 10 for FBA at their own 34-yard line.
Sparacio on the return, and that takes the ball out to the 32-yard line.
And so Wekiva's in a must-win situation because their last 2 games are against teams that are perennial state championship contenders, that being the Jones Tigers, which is a district rival, and then of course Apopka, the Tater Bowl, the cross-city rivalry, as Crossan lines up his team out of the one-back set, and he's going to go to the air right away, and this time incomplete, double coverage on the receiver on the far sideline.
Pass intended for Winston Watkins Jr. is broken up by Jabari Smith as Crossan is under pressure. Brings up 2nd and 10 for the Lions.
And so those 2 games at the end of the season against Jones and Apopka, pretty much they're going to come down to if Wekiva can win, they'll have a shot at getting into the playoffs because of the points that they represent towards the power rankings, but they only matter if you win the game tonight against FBA and then against Horizon next week as a 2nd incomplete pass.
Pass intended for Jaden Petit falls incomplete. Now 3rd and 10 coming up for the Lions.
And now I think as Wekiva's settling in and they've had about 20 or so plays to see FBA's offense, the FBA offense isn't operating nearly as efficient as it was at the beginning of the game. There's a steady downturn. Of course, from the FBA perspective, it's an upward swing from the Wekiva perspective as Crossan rolls left under pressure, throws that ball out of bounds to avoid the sack. 3 straight incompletions, and
pass again falls incomplete, and the Lions go 3 and out. 4th and 10 coming up from their own 32.
And to my point about how we're steadily seeing the momentum when Wekiva's on defense swinging to Wekiva, that's the first time tonight that Wekiva has forced Ethan Crossan into 3 consecutive incompletes. Crossan coming into the game with a 109.5 rating, 60% completion, and 210 yards per game. Certainly has not looked like that way over the last couple of possessions as Sparacio lines up to punt, and he's got lots of times, but a low kick takes a really good FBA bounce. That's Bennett picking up, avoids the first tackle, swings upfield, got some room to operate as he gets by the first 3. Penalty, it's going to come back most likely as you can feel the anticipation. And Bennett is going to cross the end zone.
Then it zigs and zags and zigs again. He is into the end zone. However, there are penalty markers on the field. Well, that was, probably about
70.
It was a 70-yard return. He probably ran about 120 yards to get those 70.
Yeah, fielded the ball at the 30-yard line, took a shortstop fielding type hop. Did a nice job of picking it up. Certainly looked like he could certainly handle the responsibilities if he chose to play baseball at the shortstop position. But again, at around the 45-yard line. As a matter of fact, it's right at the 45-yard line. Just past the left sideline, you can see the flag. 14-7 lead for Wekiva. First Baptist Academy Lions providing the opposition tonight just under 10 minutes before halftime. And now I see our referee talking to Coach Schwartz. Down on the sideline, if you look, that's at the 42-yard line of FBA. So Joshua Bennett running a punt into the end zone from the 30-yard line, 70 yards in total, forward progress, but most likely this play is not going to count. There's most likely going to be a play on Wekiva as we await the official announcement. And here it comes as the other ref is marking the penalty off.
Personal foul called against the Lions. That penalty declined.
Okay, so
Well,
yeah, I think the ref made a mistake.
yeah, I don't know if he pointed the wrong direction because I don't understand why.
Yeah, why Wekiva if it's against the Lions, against FBA?
Well, in any case, ball is spotted at the 50-yard line, and that is where Wekiva will take over. So I'm going to assume that there were offsetting penalties, and they were just called in the counterintuitive order from what you would have expected.
So Wekiva, opportunity to get the lead up to 2 touchdowns. Davis swings it out, finds Benjamin. He's off to the races and scored that touchdown.
Well, maybe. There's another penalty marker.
If it does stand, it's 50 yards.
Jeremy Benjamin runs 50 yards into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown, pending the outcome of the penalty marker at the 45-yard line. Nope, that one's coming back as well. Holding called against the Mustang offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and a replay of first down.
And thus why Davis was able to buy some extra time as he rolled to the right.
Well, the band just can't hold it in anymore. They're playing the fight song anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's high school football. About 200 fans in attendance on the Wekiva side. About 50 making the trip from Naples, of course, the home of First Baptist Academy. And so Wekiva be looking at 1st and 20. 14-7 lead. Now at their own 40-yard line. Davis with 2 running backs in the backfield now, and another penalty, or is that just a timeout? No, it is a penalty.
False start called against the Mustangs. That's 5 more yards. And that will bring up 1st and 25 for Wekiva. So, Neil, you seem to remember at the beginning of the game you and I were talking about discipline.
Yes, and in particular, it bit them on the backside last week against Edgewater. So far tonight, they've been able to get away with it as they're playing a Class 1S team, albeit the defending champions. But certainly an opportunity to do a lot more damage than they could, a lot more damage than they have. Strong run by Phileas, about 10 yards.
Phileas on the carry for the Mustangs. He pits the ball up to the 38-yard line.
Okay, not quite as strong as I thought, just 3 yards.
That's a gain of 3, 2nd and 22 coming up for Wekiva.
So let me go back. That would have been a solid run if you're looking at 1st and 10. It gives you some forward momentum, but of course now Wekiva looking at 2nd and 22 after the penalties. And now they go to the air, bounced right off of, that was Phileas?
No, that was Anthony Gay.
Gay, okay.
Pass intended for Anthony Gay falls incomplete. It brings up 3rd and 22 for the Mustangs.
Don't see Gay missing many of those balls. Davis actually, for his part, did throw the ball right on target. Roughly 8:05 remaining. Wekiva with the 14-7 lead. Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium is the site. Wekiva's home stadium. They're looking to go 4-3 after a very painful and critical loss to the number 1 ranked Edgewater Eagles last week. That's, of course, number 1 in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16, the Max Prep rankings, as well as the FHSAA Power rankings, which ultimately, at the end, is the rankings that matter. And Davis now will go over to Bennett. He slips and slides. Still got a long way to go as the defense closes in and runs him out of bounds right at midfield.
Joshua Bennett on the carry for the Mustangs. That gets the ball out to midfield for a pickup of 12 yards. Now that'll bring up 4th and 10 as the ball gets back to its original line of scrimmage. So again, 2 plays in a row. Wekiva gets into the end zone. First on the punt return, then on the first play of the drive. Neither one of them counted because of penalties. Then Wekiva gets another dead ball penalty, and now the offense actually has been doing pretty good. They've recovered 15 yards of distance in the last 3 downs, but it wasn't enough after all those penalties.
Fritchley lining up, and actually that's Christ Innocent. And this one goes straight up and comes straight down, takes a minor FBA bounce, and what was a golden opportunity with the ball at midfield goes by the wayside due to, once again, the penalties. Some other undisciplined activities going on as well, but the penalty's the most obvious.
6 minutes, 47 seconds remaining in the second quarter as the punt is good for a net of about 7 yards, and it is down by the Mustangs at their own 43-yard line. FBA takes over from there with 1st and 10.
So FBA, no huddle offense. As you just heard Mark Bartsey say, he's the other voice. Takes over at their own 43-yard line. And quick handoff, that's Sparacio, who's run the ball every time so far. 14-7 lead for Wekiva in a must-win situation. 4 games remaining as we are approaching 6 minutes before halftime. Again, the clock you see on your screen is approximately the scoreboard not working at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Wekiva doing a nice job after giving up that touchdown on the first possession, the defense that is, against FBA, although they'll get the first down here. Swing pass out to Watkins Jr. And that will put the ball back in Wekiva territory, as well as the first down. And let's see, the ball will be, got a stoppage. The ball is right now at the 46-yard line, 45-yard line, okay. No penalty, they just didn't have a ball. Oh no, it is a penalty. So please excuse me. So the completion was for 9 yards, and now we're going to get some more, and that's actually going to be 15 yards tacked on due to a penalty.
After the play, 15-yard penalty called against the Mustangs that pulls the ball down to the 30-yard line. 1st and 10, Lions. So again, penalties, and more penalties, costing Wekiva on both offense and defense, and there, the defense, whatever you may have criticized them for the penalty on the last play, they certainly get it done there. Crossan gets run out of town on a rail.
Yeah, so mentioned it, Wekiva averaging double digits last week, 15 penalties, 125 yards against Edgewater, as we're now looking at 2nd and 10. And it's not just the fact that they're getting penalties, but it just opens the door for the opponent. FBA in a hole, and now they get out of it with that penalty, and there you see, incomplete there, but that puts them in a position where they can start thinking touchdown in the long pass in the air.
Pass intended for Watkins falls incomplete. That was on the coverage. It brings up 3rd and 10. 4 minutes, 46 seconds remaining in the quarter. 4 minutes, 46 seconds to go in the half.
I mentioned earlier in the game, Mark, Watkins, this is only his 2nd game. Last week was his 1st game. But he's averaging 36 yards per catch and 2 touchdowns in that one game, 178 yards total, as we get a timeout. Roughly 4:46 remaining, 14-7 lead for Wekiva. And again, the same old story. Even though Wekiva with the lead, they could be up by more than 7 points and a touchdown. Just some critical mistakes at some critical times. Even if you look at it directly and say they've had a couple of touchdowns taken off the board because of it, but it's kept that door open for FBA to stay within the touchdown.
We have now passed the midpoint of the second quarter, and so we'll pause for our official timeout. 4 minutes, 46 seconds remaining in the second quarter. The Mustangs leading 14-7. Again, we want to remind those of you here in the stadium that we are live streaming tonight's game on YouTube and the NFHS Network. Make sure your friends and family back in Naples, elsewhere in Apopka, anywhere in the world know they can tune in on YouTube or the NFHS Network. Maybe you want to pull out your cell phone and tune in even though you're here, just so you can keep the scoreboard up, because the live stream does include a scoreboard. So if you want to have the scoreboard visible on your screen, you certainly can tune in even if you're already here. And if you mute the sound, we won't be offended. All right, back to live action here at Mustang Field. And we're going to get a nice drop back from the Lions. And it's nearly picked off. Beautiful coverage there. That was Bennett, I think.
So that'll bring up 4th and 10, and I don't see a punt coming up with the ball at Wekiva's 30-yard line mark.
Joshua Bennett on the coverage to bring up 4th and 10. And Bennett has had just a terrific game. He's been great on returns. He's been great on in the secondary. Really just playing for the Mustangs in a lot of different positions. Now, unfortunately, a lot of his footwork has not actually counted in the official stats because of penalties, but certainly he's getting it done for the Mustangs tonight. And now we're going to get a whistle as the Lions request their second timeout of the first half.
And, of course, we don't stream the away games, but I can tell you Bennett's really been doing this all season, what he's doing tonight. Of course, last week he had an interception return. He's had 2 others this season. 3 times he's gone the distance on a pick 6, along with his offensive prowess. So once again, as we are in the break, Wekiva had a rough start. Of course, both these teams scored on their first possession. Both of those touchdowns were set up by long kickoff returns, both over 35 yards. Both teams starting those possessions at around midfield. Since then, though, Wekiva, obviously, with the 7 points, has not given up a touchdown, but you just really get the feeling defensively they're finding their mojo steadily, play by play. They get a little bit better. Of course, the biggest problem, as it has been all season, is the undisciplined. And again, it's not like they're undisciplined on every game. They don't lose that focus on every play, but they just come at such critical times, the 3 or 4 plays in which they have lost that focus and discipline. And you just saw it here on that last penalty. Now it's 4th and 10, so Wekiva does have an opportunity to overcome it as Crossan shoots off the fingertips of Watkins Jr.'s, but that was a really difficult play to make, and actually that was number 3, Pettit. He was trying to spin around and catch the ball at the same time. So Wekiva overcomes the 15-yard penalty this time, but again, when you look at that 14-7 score, Wekiva certainly could have a higher lead, a bigger lead. If nothing else, they could certainly be in a much more advantageous position in terms of dictating the terms by which this game is being played.
Pass falls incomplete, and that turns the ball over on downs to the Mustangs. Wekiva takes over with 1st and 10 from their own 30-yard line.
So here again is a direct result of that penalty. If you don't commit that penalty, a personal foul, it's 15 yards. Wekiva's 1st and 10 at the 45 instead of the 30. And Davis rolls out, and he gets rid of that under pressure. Second and 10. 4:25 remaining. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs, who are looking to go 4-3. First Baptist Academy out of Naples.
4 minutes, 25 seconds remaining in the second quarter. The Mustangs leading 14-7.
3-2 record for FBA as Wekiva goes back to their traditional one-back set. That's Phileas. The completion to Benjamin, and he tries to juke and jive his way, but nothing doing. The FBA defense. Hip.
Completion is made to Jeremy Benjamin. That's good for a pick of about 3, maybe 4 yards. It brings up third, and we'll call it 7 for the Mustangs from their own 33-yard line.
So certainly the 3 yards lowers the distance, but still 3rd and 7 as Phileas lines up. That's Smith, who's standing on the near sideline on the angle. Doubles on each side, and Davis with a long throw got into the hands of the receiver, but knocked down.
Anthony gave the intended receiver, Latrell Noel, on the coverage, and that'll bring up 4th and 7 for the Mustangs.
3:36 remaining as Wekiva will have to punt the ball now. Christ Innocent checking into the ball game. 14-7 lead for Wekiva. Scoring that touchdown with 10:36 remaining before halftime. A Davis DeGay 35-yard strike. And now we get the official word. It's 3:20 remaining as Innocent goes to work. A nice punt, gets some height on it. Sparacio wants nothing to do with that. He gets away from it. Does take an FBA bounce about 5 yards. And
the punt is downed by Jalen Barnes at the 30-yard line of Lions territory. They will take over from there with 1st and 10. 3 minutes, 12 seconds remaining in the half. The Mustangs leading 14-7 here at Mustang Field. Make that 3:05 remaining in the first half. Apparently, time went 7 seconds faster on the field than it did here in the press box.
So, welcome back to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs, who are on defense in their traditional maroon background. And go numbers against FBA, a 14-7 lead as we approach halftime. The pass completed from Crossan to Watkins.
Pass complete to Winston Watkins Jr., and he does move the chains for the Lions. That's a gain of exactly 10 yards. That's enough for an FBA first down. Ball at the 40-yard line.
I'm the Fisher. The other voice you're hearing is also our public address announcer. That's Mark Barchi. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night as the no-huddle offense continues for FBA. They won't get the snap off this time.
Yeah, Michael Roberts moved there. You could see that from a satellite. Offsides called against the Mustang offense. 5-yard donation to the Lions' cause and a replay of first down.
So again, we do not have spotters or people who keep our stats. So again, our statistics are approximate, but that's, I believe, 7 for Wekiva now, penalties. As this time, Sparacio has nowhere to go. He's dumped as soon as he gets that ball from Crossan.
Sparacio on the carry. Zyreek Roberts has the TFL. 2 minutes, 45 seconds remaining in the half. And actually, that ends up being a 2-yard gain, so that is good for 2nd and 8.
And now the completion. And it took 3 Wekiva defenders to get the receiver out. That was Watkins Jr.
Pass complete to Winston Watkins Jr. That puts the ball over midfield into Mustang territory at the 46-yard line. And it is a Lions first down.
So a 9-yard gain as Crossan lines his team up again with the no huddle. as we are now under 2.5 minutes. Sparacio trying that right side, skips out of a couple of tackles, but nowhere to go as a host about 6 Wekiva defenders there. So FBA likes to pass the ball about 60% of the time. Sparacio runs the ball almost 90% of the time when he has it. Tonight it's been 100%. No one else has yet to carry the ball as he remains in the one-back set. Crossan looking for some room, finds it, matriculates up the field, now down that right sideline, and he's pushed out of bounds, and we're going to also get a late hit as well.
Crossan on the carry. He has the first down and perhaps more as there is a penalty marker at the end of the play.
As we are now under 1.5 minutes, and FBA looking to tie this ball game up. Give Crossan credit. He scrambled out of there when there was nowhere to throw to.
After the play, personal foul called against the Mustangs. That is a 15-yard penalty, or actually half the distance to the goal. And that'll put the ball at the 12-yard line and bring up 1st and 10.
So that's technically a 12-yard penalty, but as you said, Mark, now down at the 12-yard line. That's also a 32-yard gain for Crossan, who Coach Schwartz told me earlier this week when we had our weekly meeting, Crossan's perhaps his greatest strength, even though he's an incredibly efficient passer, is his ability to extend plays, and you just saw it there.
1 minute, 15 seconds remaining in the first half. 1:15 to go, and the Mustangs leading 14-7.
FBA knocking on the door, though. Crossan takes the snap, goes immediately to the left. The flare pass and route, and yes, a touchdown. 14-13 with PAT pending. Just that quick and easy for FBA.
The pass is into the end zone for a Lions touchdown.
12 yards the distance. And we'll have the receiver for you in just a moment.
I want to say that's Petite. Yeah, because he's sitting over there on the bench now. That's Petite. Jaden Petite makes the 12-yard completion. And the PAT is good. Put up there by Lucas Montejo. That ties the game 14-all with just over a minute remaining in the half.
We are tied 14-all at Baptist Orthodontic Stadium. Wekiva, the home team, First Baptist Academy, the defending 1S state champions. And that touchdown, which just drive the game, just tied the score, culminated a 70-yard drive, 5 plays. And 20 of those 70 yards coming via the penalty, as, of course, my partner, Mark, the other voice you hear, that's Mark Barchi, who's also the public address announcer, likes to say, contributing to the FBA cause. As we will now have under a minute. So Wekiva with an opportunity to go ahead with roughly 56 seconds remaining. I'm Neil Fisher. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night. Also want to remind you that the clock is not exact. The scoreboard here at Baptist Orthodontic Stadium is not working, so we are approximating. 14-14. Both teams scoring on their opening possession, set up by strong kickoff returns, at least 35 yards. Wekiva now First and 10 at its own 30-yard line. Both teams scoring in the second quarter. Wekiva at 10:33, and FBA just tying the score with 1:05 approximately left. Now looking at first and 10, Tyree Davis motions for Gay to go in motion, and we got a flag.
Flag on the play, dead ball prior to the snap.
And
Delay of game called against the Mustang offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of first down. Neil, what's penalties and yards?
Well, I don't know the exact amount. Again, we don't have a statistician, but I do believe it's 9
I believe
so
that.
far in the first half.
And certainly as we get the pass incomplete intended for Jabari Smith to bring up 2nd and 15, as we get that play, not at all to take away anything from what the Lions did, because they certainly had some brilliance on offense.
Yeah, that's First
but,
Baptist
But
Academy.
really, the life was breathed into that last drive by the Wekiva penalties.
Mentioned 70 yards covered, 20 were on 2 penalties, and really that 15-yard penalty was just such a killer. It put him inside the red zone at the 12. As Davis drops back, he's got pressure. He's going to run, and he's got some room to operate, and doesn't quite get to the first down. And I think, Mark, even though that was 7 yards, which is a strong gain on second down, that still answers our question as to how far he's recovered from his injury suffered way back in the second season. It just looked like he didn't have quite the getty up that we're used to seeing.
Tyree Davis on the carry for a gain of 14 yards. That'll bring up 3rd and 1 for the Mustangs from their own 39-yard line.
Okay, excuse me, that was 14 yards. But still, Mark, it just looked like he wasn't quite as quick, quite as light on his feet as we're used to seeing Davis. But nonetheless, that does put him 3rd and 2. So an opportunity at the very least to run out the clock and not give FBA another opportunity to take the lead. It's going to be a pass. Davis looking, got time, goes across his body in the field and finds Gay, who's got room to operate down the right sideline, tries to cut it back. Can't go past the 20, but nonetheless, that puts Wekiva in business roughly half a minute. Davis doing an excellent job of extending that play.
Anthony
and then on
Gay
target.
has the completion all the way down from the Mustangs' own 39-yard line into Lions territory at the 13-yard line. That's a 48-yard completion to Anthony Gay. And the Mustangs will take their first timeout of the first half. Ball on the 12, make it the 11-yard line, and it's 1st and 10 Wekiva when we come back.
So just that quickly, Mark, Wekiva back in business, the lightning quick gain. And we'll see if Wekiva can turn this opportunity that they've created into actual points and take a lead into halftime. 14-14 score from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. It's been a game of big plays of big impact so far. And now Wekiva with the opportunity to score a touchdown set up by a big play, big impact. Tyree Davis finding Anthony Gay. Filius lining up to the left in that one-back set. And Davis goes down quickly. Tommy Kuzak on the blitz from the safety position.
Davis on the carry. Tommy Kuzak with the TFL. That takes the ball backwards to the 20-yard line for a loss of 9.
More importantly, it's 2nd and 17. As Wekiva's going to call another timeout.
The Mustangs request their second timeout of the first half.
So both teams scoring on their first possession. Strong kickoff returns, both over 35 yards, gave possession to the offenses around midfield. FBA scoring on a 34-yard cross-in to Watkins pass. And then Wekiva answering with a 10-yard Davis to Smith pass. Both teams scoring in the second quarter. Wekiva 10-36 to take a 14-7 lead. And FBA on their last possession with 1:05 tying the score at 14 all.
And we have an official update on the clock. It is 13 seconds. 13 seconds remaining in the first half. Mustangs have the ball with 2nd and 18 coming up. And the score tied 14-14.
So you're looking at 2 plays, perhaps 3. See if Wekiva can create some clock efficiency. Again, that's one of the things I talked about, lacking discipline.
Now they do have one more timeout remaining. Both teams do, actually, although I can't imagine why the Lions would use one. Oh, there's a step.
One back set for Wekiva. Davis under pressure. He runs with it along the hash mark, the right sideline, and scampers out of bounds. And I believe that was about 5-yard gain.
Thereabouts.
So, again, also please remember we do not have spotters. And the ball is now being played on the right side of the field.
And let's see, we'll call that right exactly at the 15-yard line. Gain of 5, 3rd and 13-ish.
One back set again. 2 receivers each side. Davis again under pressure, just has to get rid of it. Might have a shot, tip, incomplete. So again, there's where you see the pressure. That ball was in the end zone, but Davis really couldn't get any oomph under it. Just a high arcing ball.
Pass intended for Anthony Gay falls incomplete. Now, on my clock, I have 2 seconds left, but the official time is being kept on the field, so it looks like they are not calling halftime yet. Again, the official signal for end of quarter is for the referee to hold the ball over his head.
Yeah, and remind you, as I believe, well, FBA is walking off the field like the half came to an end. We do not, the scoreboard is not working here at Baptist Orthodontic Stadium, so we have to approximate the game clock. And yes, it is halftime. Both teams are now walking off. I saw Coach Schwartz.
That takes us to
agree,
halftime, and so the Mustangs get within striking distance, but not able to convert any points on the final drive. We will go into the break no closer to deciding a victor than we were at the start. 14-14 is your score at intermission here in Week 7 of Season 17 from Mustang Field. Don't go anywhere. Band performances coming up next. And it looks like we do not have the Lions band joining us tonight. Of course, that is a very long trip from Naples, so we certainly wish them well and completely understand that they were not able to join us tonight. But we invite you now to turn your attention to the field for the pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band. Tonight's halftime performance features the music of Michael Jackson.
We wanted to say hello. 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 Hey, yo. No, you should have told us that because I want to play with you.
teenagers. Is your band ready?
We'll take you inside the press box here at Mustang Field, where this is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustang, Sports Information Director here at Wekiva, with Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. And Neil, we said it at the beginning of the game, and sometimes unfortunate predictions come true. It was a matter of discipline for the Mustangs in the first half. Certainly don't want to take anything away from the Lions. They made a lot of things happen, a lot of great work by their quarterback, Ethan Crossan, particularly Winston Watkins in the secondary. They are obviously a team that likes to keep the ball in the air, much more so than Wekiva, and they were getting it done. But a lot of those opportunities were given to them by Mustang penalties, and in many cases, dead ball Mustang penalties. And of course, Coach Schwartz is already a bald man, but if he had any hair, he'd be tearing it out because this is a problem week after week for the Mustangs.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know what else you can say when you talk about penalties, other than the fact that it's been a problem all season. I'd say they're averaging around 13 penalties and 125 yards. You think about that, that's not a length of a field. That's a length of a field in change, like a quarter, and yards they're giving up. And usually I would say that's the length of 2 touchdowns. It doesn't necessarily mean that the opponent, that you're taking 2 touchdowns off the board per se, but it changes the dynamics of the game. The other thing is, and I will have the penalties here in a couple of minutes. Again, please remember we don't have a statistician or a statter, so I got to do everything on my own. But I think right now, again, just off the top of my head, from memory, you're looking at about 10 penalties. So they are actually on pace to go over their average. Last week, they lost to Edgewater, talked about it all throughout that first half. If they win that game last week against Edgewater, they lost 29-22. So they had an opportunity, and of course I was at the game. They were in the game the whole time. They had their opportunities.
I think a lot of third-party observers may never have given Wekiva a chance in that game, but they really competed.
Yeah, but penalties were so important last week. It just killed them on 2 of those touchdowns. It took them out of the opportunity of being able to open the whole playbook. They had to go to passes. They committed 15 penalties for 125 yards in that game. But you can go even deeper than that. It's just a lack of discipline in other areas. Not quite as bad, or to the extent that it was last week against Edgewater. And again, I keep bringing up that Edgewater game because if you win it, you're now in position to make the playoffs. Wekiva now is in a must-win, as we talked about. But the winning touchdown, and I'll just use this as an example, there was about a dozen other, was scored by Sir Samaj Flending, a 38-yard sweep. He started on the right hash mark, went in motion, took the handoff, and wound up going all the way up to the left sideline, and then broke a couple of tackles. There should have been more than 2 players there at the initial point of contact. There should have been 4 or 5. The players lacked the discipline. They were in the wrong location. Those are the type of things what I mean. It's not just the penalties. Those are the obvious and the noticeable and the tangible. But wrong location, went to the wrong play, took the bait, and they missed. The 2 guys who were there, they wrapped them up. They wrapped Fleming up, and he ran right through the tackle.
And so, I mean, again, there's so much you like about Wekiva's defense. There's so much you like about Wekiva's offense, even with the issues that we've had with Davis coming in and out at quarterback. But then just those few fundamentals that aren't seeming to click into place, causing those dead ball penalties, causing players out of position at critical moments, where Wekiva is competing with elite teams like the undefeated Edgewater Eagles, and they're going to have to compete later this season with the Jones Tigers and the Apopka Blue Darters,
right.
Both of whom I think most objective observers would put in an elite tier. They are very consistently in the Sentinel Super 16. Jones is a district opponent. Apopka, of course, is a crosstown rivalry. And it's you see Wekiva so close to greatness, on the precipice of being able to seal so many of these games.
And as Coach Schwartz likes to say, moving into that top tier, it's not the lack of talent or skill. It's not the pool.
Exactly.
And we've seen that tonight on both of those touchdowns.
But again, for those, I know we have some viewers tonight from Naples, and we want to welcome you to the broadcast as well. Obviously, FBA is not a team that Neil and I spend a lot of time covering. It's not a team that's ever
spend no time.
Yes, not a team that's ever come here before. But it's become very clear to us how they put up the numbers that we see on their Max Prep stats coming into tonight's game. Obviously, Ethan Crossan able to connect, particularly with Winston Watkins and a couple of other receivers tonight, but that Crossan-Watkins combo has really proven to be quite lethal for them tonight, and we'll see if they are able to continue to do that as we get things underway.
And Wekiva receives the opening kickoff. And by the way, Mark, it is exactly 10 penalties for 95 yards. Wekiva's total. So I'll have FBA's in just a minute.
We are back underway for the third quarter here at Mustang Field. The Mustangs will receive the opening kickoff coming in there from Montejo, and they will start at their own 29-yard line with 1st and 10.
So again, a 14-14 score. Wekiva in a must-win situation, given they're 3-3, and they end the season with Jones and Apopka, the two top-tier teams, two teams that have expectations every year of going deep into the playoffs. As a matter of fact, Jones was a state semifinalist last year, Apopka a finalist. As the handoff, nothing doing. So we'll move to 2nd down. And of course, Wekiva also unable to get in. Most likely, they're not going to get into the playoffs with the district champion. Again, that's why I brought up Edgewater during halftime. So important. Edgewater most likely is going to win the district, even if they do get upset by Horizon, which is unlikely. But
yeah, well, I mean, Horizon would essentially have to sweep because Horizon has a very unusual schedule this year. They have not yet played a district game until tonight, and so they're playing 3 district games in a row. And so obviously Horizon could surprise a lot of people and sweep all 3 of those games and rocket themselves into contention for the district championship. But most odds makers would tell you that Edgewater has all but locked up the district championship at this point.
And so again, going back to my point, is we see another run up the middle for a short distance, I believe 2 yards for each of the runs that
I know we're at -1 for the set so far.
Okay, -1.
-1 and 0.
So 3rd and 11 for Wekiva. And by the way, First Baptist, 2 penalties for 15 yards. Again, Wekiva, 10 penalties for 95 yards. As Davis lines up first possession of the second half. And his arm is tipped, caught, but it's going to be short. I believe that was Gay who came back for the ball, and that took him out from Pat. No, it is a 1st down.
Gay makes the catch, coming back to it for the Mustangs. He immediately falls and is down, but not before picking up a Mustang 1st down.
So
ball spotted at the 40-yard line for a gain of 12. 1st and 10 Mustangs.
So a bit of good fortune for Wekiva. As we go back to work in the running game. 14-14 score. Again, a must-win game for Wekiva, even though there are still 4 games remaining. First Baptist Academy looking to get their mojo on. They come in 3-2, the defending Class 1S state champions. No gain on that play.
Mustangs run for 0 yards. 2nd and 10 coming up for Wekiva from their own 40.
An entertaining first half, a play of big plays. Plays a big impact, and as we talked about through that first half and at halftime, both teams making some mistakes, but Wekiva far more opening the doors for those plays of big impact. Davis back to the air, the screen to the left side. That's Bennett. He's trying to weave his way around, and he will get in that corner, and a 1st down. Nifty piece of running, light on his feet.
Joshua Bennett on the carry. Dominic Davis has the stop for the Lions, and that is enough to move the chains. That puts the ball into FBA territory at the 46-yard line. 1st and 10 Mustangs.
So a 16-yard gain. And we've been seeing that type of play all season in terms of the stats. Tyree Davis coming into this game with only a 43% completion, but averaging 18 yards each completion, so certainly getting the most when they do complete it. And speaking of completions, down to Benjamin, who busts through and rumbles into the end zone. 20-14, Wekiva
Number
back in
5, Jeremy Benjamin, 46 yards into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown.
And the 200 or so Wekiva fans sitting in front of us, roaring their approval as Nate Fritchley checks in. Fritchley 2 for 2 tonight. Certainly a much better outing than last week against Edgewater when he missed 2 PATs. And a field goal. Smith will be holding. Approximately 8:47 as the kick is up.
Fritchley's PAT is
make
up
it
and good.
3 for 3. Make it 3 for 3 tonight for Fritchley. Wekiva 21-14. We'll have the exact time in just a second. So, like clockwork, Tyree must have been hearing me. As I was saying, overall, he's had some issues tonight. As we are now getting the official time to 8:25.
And the official time coming in now, 8 minutes, 25 seconds remaining in the third quarter. That's the official time for your score. 21-14, the Mustangs lead. 8:25 to go in the third quarter.
However, when Davis does complete a pass, he is on, averaging 18 yards per completion. So again, if you have not been following Wekiva football throughout the season, Tyree has missed 2 games. He played the second game this season with it injured. His left leg was injured. He got roughed up on the first possession by a Coe. Very hard to plant. And certainly I'm sure that has something to do with that low completion percentage. But for now, what's important and what matters is he was spot on to Jeremy Benjamin, catching that ball in stride at the 5-yard line. Benjamin creating about a step differential. And once the ball hit his hands, it was all over. But the celebration, and now another strong return. That's Watkins Jr. weaving back and forth, doing a couple of hopscotch.
Winston Watkins Jr. has the return for the Lions. He gets the ball out to the 41-yard line. That's where the Lions will take over with their first offensive possession following the Mustang touchdown.
So Wekiva up 21-14. FBA no huddle offense, averaging 305 yards a game. Both teams scoring on their first possession. 35-yard kickoff return setting them up. Crossing going to Watkins for 34 yards, 70 yards, 6 plays. Wekiva answering with a 55-yard, 10-play drive. Jabari Smith catching the ball from Davis as Sparacio, continues to be the lone rusher.
Sparacio on the carry for a gain of about 5 yards. It brings up 2nd and 5 for the Lions from their own 46-yard line.
The second set of touchdowns, Wekiva taking a 14-7 lead, 10:36 in the second quarter. Davis to Gay, that was a 30-yard bomb, 35 yards in total. There was a penalty before the first play. And now the long pass from Crossins, got a wide open man. Watkins leaps, snags it out of the air, and
Pass
FBA
complete
in business
to Jaden Petit. And that will move the chains and more, getting the ball all the way down inside the Mustang red zone. The official spot is right at the 20-yard line.
So that's a 34-yard completion. And 1st and 10. And then FBA tying the score up just before halftime, 1:05 to be exact. Cross into Pettit, who you just saw that combination, 12 yards, 70-yard drive, 6 plays, and we went into halftime tied at 15 all. Total yardage almost even. This does include the penalties taking off. 183 as Crossan goes back to work. The quick pass. and that'll give FBA a first down, 183 for First Baptist Academy, and 170 for Wekiva. But we mentioned a number of lack of discipline and unfocused, but the one that stands out most tangibly, penalties, 10 for 95.
Pass complete to Watkins Jr. for a gain of 10 yards. That brings up first and goal for the Lions from the Mustang 10-yard line.
So a 10-yard completion, another first down, most importantly, and FBI knocking on the door to tie this game. And now slammed down to the ground. Ball came loose, went out of bounds, but they'll lose more yardage on that sack.
That's number 10, Christ Innocent, with the sack. That is ruled a dead ball, not necessarily a fumble, but it does bring up second and goal.
So Watkins, who caught that 10-yard pass, put him at first and goal.
So strike that. They are saying that...
it was a fumble?
Well, no. The Crossan got the ball in the air first, so it's not a sack.
Okay.
It's just an incomplete pass. It's a batted down pass by Innocent.
So I guess the best possible situation for FBA, and now another pass. That was a live to fight another day pass.
Pass intended for Watkins falls incomplete. It brings up 3rd and 10.
So speaking of Watkins, he missed the first 4 games. Last week was his first game, and he came to play catching 5 passes for 178 yards.
And we've reached the midpoint of the third quarter, and so we'll pause here for an official timeout. 21-14, the Mustangs lead the Lions, but the Lions knocking on the door, looking at 3rd and goal from the 10-yard line when we come back from the official break.
2 TDs as well as most importantly, 35.6-yard average. Again, that was Winston Watkins' stats last week, his first game of the season. Up to that point, you had Pettit with 29 receptions, the leading receiver, as well as yardage, 443. Next was Azumki with 15, and then Walney was 13. So really, my point is that they now have 4 weapons, adding Watkins last week. And now we'll go back to work. 3rd and goal from the 10-yard line. Wekiva, the 21-14 lead. No huddle continues. 1 back set. Quick pass from Crossan over the arms of Wolney.
That will bring up 4th and goal from the 10. So, Neil, I don't know enough about Montejo's kicking stats to know what the obvious play here is. Obviously, field goal is not going to put you in the lead or even tie, but maybe points on the board and hope you get something on the next possession, or you go for broke here.
Yeah, actually, Montejo hasn't attempted a field goal this season. So also want to point out is we now have a timeout charged to FBA.
Apparently the Lions don't know either yet. The Lions request their first timeout of the second half.
I just mentioned that throughout the season, and they do this, which I'll explain in a very specific way. You have the 3 receivers, I guess you could call them the 3 amigos, Jay Pettit, Azumke, and Walney, leading the way for FBA in terms of receptions. And then, of course, with Watkins' return, they now have a foursome. But Wolney has yet to catch a pass tonight. Give Wekiva's secondary credit. They've limited them down to 3. Still, they've had their moments to 3 other receivers, but you would be looking at a much different game if Wolney was able to cause some damage. 6:16 remaining in the third quarter. 21-14 lead for Wekiva. And Coach Sparacio decides to try to score the touchdown. It is 4th and goal, so you can't get a first down. Obviously a critical play of the game, not only in terms of the score, but Wekiva would really gain some tremendous momentum if they could hold him out of the end zone. Crossing under pressure, the ball, and an easy touchdown pass along that right sideline. 21-20, PAT pending.
Pass is complete to number 22, Sam Sparacio. And that's good for a Lions touchdown. It cuts the Mustang lead to 21-20 pending the outcome of the PAT with 6 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
So the linebackers in the secondary breaking down. And again, the undisciplined as Sparacio wound up wide open. And now the PAT for Montejo. That's down, up, and no problem. We are tied at 21 all.
That ties the score 21-21, just over 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
6:08, the official time of the score. So we start the second half, Mark, the same way we started the first half. Both teams with strong kickoff returns, setting them up in good position. The offense is doing the rest, scoring touchdowns on that first possession. We were 14-14 at halftime. Wekiva taking the 21-14 on a 46-yard strike. Davis to Benjamin. As the onside tapped.
And we've got a pile up here at midfield. Looks like everybody's getting up, if perhaps a bit slowly. That was Zarik Roberts was the last one to come out from the bottom of the pile. But looks like everybody's okay.
And then FBI tying it up just now.
You are bound and determined to call this team the Federal Bureau of Investigation
Yeah,
tonight.
I don't know why I keep saying putting that A. It's FBI, FBA. And so the official timing, the official time of the score, the touchdown that tied the game up, 6:08. And it was crossing to Sparacio, 10 yards. And on fourth down, which I'm sure can't make Coach Schwartz happy. Your official distance, 70 yards for Wekiva's and 59 for FBA's.
The Mustangs will take over after recovering the onside kick at their own 49-yard line, 1st and 10.
21 all as Davis run it himself, and I believe that's the first time we've seen Tyree run tonight. Again, Wekiva without Sincere Edwards, the University of Pittsburgh commit. They're also playing without Jamari Robinson.
Davis on the carry,
back.
takes it from one 49-yard line to the other 49-yard line for a gain of 2. 2nd and 8 coming up for the Mustangs.
So a 2-yard gain officially, which does put the ball in FBA territory. And now the quick pass along the sideline, still rumbling and stumbling and dragging for a couple yards. That's Bennett.
Bennett has the reception and spins for extra yardage and moves the chains for a Mustang first down.
So that
Ball spotted at the 37-yard line, 1st and 10 Wekiva.
So that extra spin, that extra couple of spins, puts them in first down territory. 18 yards in total. As Wekiva remains in the one-back set. 5.5 remaining. 21 all. Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the site. Filius lining up. He takes the handoffs. Rumbles to the left. He's got open territory. Lowers the shoulder and bulls his way ahead for about 3 more yards. All down to the 25. 1st and 10. Second consecutive for Wekiva.
Tyree Filius on the carry. Stop made by DeGrioli. And that's good for back-to-back first downs for the Mustangs. This time now down to the 25-yard line, 1st and 10 Wekiva.
And Wekiva continues on the ground.
Filius again on the carry for the Mustangs. Loss of 2 on the play. 2nd and 12 coming up from the 27.
Long pass into the end zone, just out of the reach on that right side.
Pass intended for Anthony Gay is just too high. And that'll bring up 3rd and 12.
Wekiva looking to go back ahead for the 3rd time tonight. We are tied 21-all. And as you just heard Mark Barchi say, he's also the public address announcer at Wekiva High School. He's been the only public address announcer that we at Wekiva High School has known.
I'm sure somebody's
3rd
filled
and
in for
12.
me at some point.
But
yes, these
regular,
17 years.
Yes, I have filled in for you, Mark. But the regular. So ball at the FBA 27. Wekiva not only looking to go up in this tied ball game, but in a must-win situation. Davis, one back set, quick snap back to Smith, levels by, whizzes by that first 2 waves, and yes, that is enough for a first down.
Pass complete to Jabari Smith. Logan Bartley had the stop, but not before moving the chains for Mustang. First down.
So a calling the right play at the right time, well executed by Davis and Smith.
Gain of 12 on the play. It puts the ball at the 15-yard line.
Give the offensive line credit as well for sealing off that side, the right side of the field. Wekiva goes back to work. Trips on the near sideline, one back set out of their traditional offense. Snap. Davis, lots of time. Now takes a couple steps to his right, finds Ellis, and he's taken down right away, only a 1-yard gain. But continues to move the ball up the field. As we approach the end of the 3rd quarter, 21-all. So 2nd and 9. Wekiva can get the ball inside the 2-yard line for a first down without scoring the touchdown. Trips again. Bennett in motion, actually Gay in motion. Quick pass, quick hustle, and Davis nowhere to go. The pocket broke down quickly. He'll gain 1 yard. Nope, actually no yards, and that'll bring up 3rd down now. Obviously critical play as Wekiva knocking on the door, looking to re-seize momentum as well as take the lead. And 1:53 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
1 minute, 53 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. 1:53 remaining in the 3rd quarter. We're tied at 21 here at Mustang Field.
It's been a back-and-forth game, neither team having more than a 1-touchdown lead. Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium on the southeast side of Apopka, the site. About 200 fans in front of us on Wekiva's sideline, about 50 making the trip from Naples. Thank you for that. And the quick pass intercepted at the 5. And just that quickly, Wekiva, all the momentum goes down the drain. And I believe, was that Pettit? Or no, Tommy Kuzak, the safety, standing right on the 5-yard line, and Davis throwing it right to him. Davis trying to get the quick over-the-top pass and then let his receiver rumble into the end zone.
Pass intercepted by Cusick, and it is run back to the 20-yard line where the Lions will take over with 1st and 10.
Nice run by Kuzak, too, to get the ball up to the 20, as you just heard Mark say. 21-all, 1:45 as FBA goes back to the run game. And we've seen this all night. Sparacio taking the ball. And he gains nothing. Maybe a yard. So that'll bring up 2nd and 9. As we approach the end of the 2nd quarter. Inside handoff again. No room to operate. Quick takedown. Two-yard gain, so 3rd and 7 now.
3rd and 7 coming up for the Lions.
So if Wekiva can hold them, all will not be lost with that interception. They will have the better field position. Kuzak drops back, Crossan drops back, and yes, it was caught. That was Pettit, one of the secondary, trying to jump the route and time the interception, but was not able to.
Jaden Petit draws in.
So moves the ball up to the 37-yard line.
About 20 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter.
14-yard completion. No huddle for FBA. Kaiva again without Sincere Edwards on defense, the University of Pittsburgh commit. And we have seen pretty much what we expected from FBA, 60-40 pass to run ratio.
Looks like FBA is deliberately just trying to draw Wekiva off sides here to run out the clock on the 3rd quarter.
And again, why not? You got nothing to lose.
Flag on the play.
Talked about it at halftime. Wekiva 10 penalties, 95 yards. FBA with 2 penalties for only 15 yards.
Prior to the snap, delay of game called against the Lions. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of 1st down. So I don't know, maybe I got bad advice over the radio. Maybe it wasn't 25 seconds because otherwise the quarter should have ended before that penalty came into effect.
Yeah, if you joined us late, first of all, thank you. Thank you for all of us joining us. The scoreboard at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium is not right, so the game clock that you see on the screen is approximate. And the inside handoff to Sparacio. Looked like he had some room to run and operate, but it quickly closed up, and he's taken down, dumped.
Sparacio on the carry. He has the ball back to the 36-yard line. That'll bring up 2nd and 12. And now we have reached the end of the 3rd quarter. We're all tied up 21-21. It'll be 2nd and 12 when we come back from the break after switching sides one last time here at Mustang Field for Week 7 of Season 17 of Mustang football. 21-21, 12 minutes to go. And for those of you here in the stadium, we'd like to remind you that if you are depending on a ride to get home from tonight's game, and you have not already done so, give them a call. Let them know that we are going into the last 12 minutes of the ball game, and we would appreciate their cooperation in making sure that they are here and ready to pick you up immediately after the conclusion of tonight's contest so that our administrators can promptly close the facility and get home to their families. We appreciate your cooperation. We also want to remind you once again, if you've got friends and family back in Naples, elsewhere in Apopka, or anywhere in the world, and they want to watch a thrilling photo finish, they can do so right now on YouTube or the NFHS network. That's youtube.com/Wekiva Sports, or search Wekiva Sports on the YouTube app with your favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device. Or if you're a member of NFHS Network, we will gladly simulcast it for you there as well. And we want to extend special thanks to those of you who have already done that. Make sure you subscribe while you're here. We'd certainly appreciate that from you as well. And we are ready to get things underway here in the 4th quarter.
21-21 off from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. And that's Sparacio taking the screen pass. Did a nice job of getting back to the line of scrimmage. But again, a 5-yard penalty putting him beyond the chains. 21 all. Both teams in a must-win situation, more so for Wekiva, 3-3. FBA, First Baptist Academy, the visiting team, with possession of the ball, 3-2. They are the defending Class 1S state champion. Give 4 yards on that completion. Up to the 40-yard line. And this is going to be trouble down the sideline. Finally brought down.
Number 11, that's Landon Wolney on the carry, finally stopped by Kalen Meadows, who saves the touchdown for the Mustangs. Not before picking up big first down yardage. The ball spotted at the 12-yard line, make it the 12-yard line, 1st and 10.
So that's a 48 completion, 48-yard completion for FBA. They're inside the red zone and in business. A quick pass to Watkins Jr., who again, second game of the season, he pushes ahead down to the 5.
Watkins Jr. on the completion. He has a gain of 7, 2nd and 3 coming up from the 5-yard line.
So as you just heard Mark say, it's Mark Barchi, our PA announcer, as well as my partner on air. They don't need a first touchdown to get. They can get a first down without getting the touchdown. As we are now looking at 2nd and 3. Out of the one-back set, crossing, quick pass, knocked down right at the front of the goal at the end zone. That's Jabari Smith. He got an assist from Jaden Smith.
Pass intended for Winston Watkins. Looked like it might have been pulled in, but pushed out of bounds by Smith of the Mustang defense.
So remember, FBA also moved down to the 5-yard line after suffering a 5-yard delay of game penalty. Now facing 3rd and 3 early in the fourth quarter, 21-all. High snap, handed off to Sparacio, runs the other way, and he got the first down as well as, yes, the touchdown. Back in the lead, FBA 27-21, PAT pending.
Sparacio on the carry, and he is into the end zone for a 5-yard Lions touchdown. FBA back in the lead now, 27-21, with about 10.5 to go in the fourth quarter, and we'll get an official time in a moment.
So Montejo checks in. That drive consisting of 80 yards in 10 plays. And the only penalty, Mark, was actually against FBA. Wekiva did not commit a penalty, but FBA's penalty, a delay of game at the 23-yard line, their own 23-yard line, put him in a 3rd and 12 hole, which they were able to dig out of. So there again, as I've said throughout this
Flag
game,
on the play prior to the snap. Offsides called against the Mustang defense. That'll be half the distance to the goal and a replay of the try.
So as I've said throughout not only this game but the season, yes, the lack of discipline and focus is a big issue. But this time it was not the direct discipline of Wekiva committing a penalty. It was them giving up a 14-yard pass on 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 12. So Monteo out of the hold of Sparacio, ball down, kick up, and 28-27, FBA with the lead, the defending Class 1S state champion.
The PAT by Lucas Montejo is good. And the Lions have retaken the lead, 28-21 over the Mustangs.
Still waiting for the official time of the score. So that touchdown was scored at exactly 10 minutes remaining. We were tied at 14-all at halftime.
10 minutes.
And want to send out a shout out to the students who are part of the broadcast production department at Wekiva High School. Of course, we could not put on this broadcast without their help. Under the direction of Mark Washington, they handle the video aspects. And back to live action, another roller. Picked up at the 35, straight up the middle, and down goes the returner. So So Wekiva will take over, trailing by a touchdown in a must-win situation if they make the playoffs.
Jabari Smith on the return.
At their own 42.
And I'm seeing there's some celebration going on the Lions side. They seem to believe that they have the ball. And they do not. The referee has made it very clear that Smith was down. I let way too much time run off the clock there. Let me put some time back on. That was probably about 10 seconds at most.
So Wekiva will have the ball 1st and 10 at its own 42-yard line. And Mustang fans, you can take a deep sigh of relief. Again, the First Baptist Academy, the Lions, the defending Class 1S state champion, the S standing for Suburban. That's the lowest classification in terms of the number. Doesn't mean that's the least amount quality of play. It's just based on the student population and the location.
Well, yeah, and while we may not be as familiar with the Lions from Naples, if there's anything we know here in Orange County with all the private schools that we do have that we follow, it is that school enrollment is not necessarily correlated with quality of program.
No, and that was Phileas, but banging ahead, lowering the shoulder, 3-yard gain. On 1st down, brings up
Tyree Phileas picks up 3 to the 45-yard line to bring up 2nd and 7 for the Mustangs. About 9.5 to go here in the ball game.
FBA taking a 28-21 lead on their last possession. And back to work, Davis goes, a low pass. I believe that was Benjamin, the intended receiver, so 3rd and long as we are now under 10 minutes. 3rd and 7 to be exact. So all 3 of Wekiva's touchdowns have been scored on the subsequent possession after FBA scored or with the lead. See if they can continue that trend. They definitely need a 1st down here as we are entering time is not your friend territory. Quick pass out to Bennett, who slides off the tackle initially, but the tackler does not let go, and they're about a yard short. So it's 4th and a yard, and yeah, Schwartz is going for it. There's no hesitation. No one's coming off.
Joshua Bennett on the carry. Top made by Josh Paul, and the Mustangs still 2 yards short of the 1st down. 4th and 2 from the 50.
Okay, so it's a 5-yard gain, and obviously critical play of the game. FBA gets the ball back. They don't necessarily need to score. They already have the lead. Ball right at midfield. Again, 4th and 2. In motion, Bennett. Drop back under pressure. Gets rid of it. Incomplete. Ellis, the intended receiver, at the FBA 45.
Pass intended for Michael Ellis is incomplete. And that will turn the ball over on downs to the Lions at midfield.
So as I mentioned, Wekiva now for the first time unable to answer an FBA touchdown or already having the lead, and that certainly is a momentum swing. Obviously, if you're FBA, you want to do some scoring here.
Yeah, 8:15, which is an estimate, is still a lot of time.
Still a lot of time, but even if you can take a couple of minutes off that clock while also gaining a couple 1st downs, you're forcing Wekiva to have to go about 70 yards in the last 6 minutes. Of course, Wekiva needs a stop here. They're no longer in a afford to give up a couple of 1st downs territory. Certainly not a second 1st down as Sparacio bowls ahead. Nothing fancy there, right behind the center on a trap.
Sparacio on the carry for a gain of 5 yards. That brings up 2nd and 5 for the Lions from the Mustang 45-yard line.
And we've seen this all night, just those 3, 4, 5-yard gains by Sparacio as 2 receivers on each side, or 2 on the near side, 1 on the right, or the upside. And now Crossan finds his man, And all the way down inside the 10 to the 5. That's Wolney with only his second reception, but boy, that is a lethal reception, getting FBA not only inside the red zone or the 10, but all the way down low at the 10-yard line.
Landon Wolney has the catch and gets the ball down to the 10-yard line. First and goal, Lions.
And as you just heard Mark say, my partner, PA address announcer as well, it's also a first down. So 4 yards for FBA to work with, threatening to take a 2-touchdown lead and score 3 consecutive.
And he used, as you pointed out a moment ago, Neil, this is the first time that the Lions have had an opportunity to take a 2-touchdown lead.
Of course, that pass was set up by the run from Sparacio. Quick pass from Crossan, finds his man at the 2. A fight, a struggle to get into the end zone, and finally pushed out of bounds. He's not into the end zone, and actually it'll be the 3.
Pass is complete to Winston Watkins Jr., and he is down to the 3-yard line, second and goal.
7-yard completion. Keep moving that ball steadily down the field, matriculating. I think Jabari Smith trying to get in, but he can't. If they were on the near side, he might have been able to. Quick handoff to Sparacio, right, left, and slammed down. A 1-yard gain, so it'll be third and goal from the 2.
Sparacio on the carry for the Lions. He stopped short of the goal line. Ball is spotted at perhaps the 2 for a gain of 1. Third and goal coming up for the Lions.
So again, no huddle offense. FBA, one of the few teams across the state that uses a tight end out of the spread formation. It means they have 3 receivers, a 1-back set. Sparacio carrying the ball every time tonight. They're going to go on the pass. Crossan rolling out. He's going to try to get into the end zone. And he was forced out at the 1-yard line. Fourth and goal now.
Ethan Crossan on the QB keep. Still just shy of the goal line marker. He does have a gain of 1, and it brings up fourth and goal from the 1. So as you mentioned, Neil, no field goals in the books this season for FBA, which is not to say that Montejo isn't capable of it, especially from there where it's essentially a PAT. But
they're not going to go for that.
It just doesn't look like it, of course.
No, they are.
Well,
yeah, they are. Well, the field goal kicker is on. Or at least
timeout.
Yeah, that's number 78, Montero. And they call a timeout now. You know, I realize we're the Wekiva broadcast, but looking at this from the viewpoint of Coach Sparacio, and yes, Sam Sparacio, number 22, the running back who's bowled his way through, around, under. He is the son of the head coach. The son of head coach Billy Sparacio. If I'm Billy Sparacio, I go for the touchdown. Even if you don't get it, you force Wekiva into a situation of having to go 99 yards in about 6 minutes, 20 seconds. And quite frankly, if you line up right, you don't even need, if you're the offensive lineman, to really get a push. You just need to hold the defensive lineman from getting a push. It's really hard to stop a running back with those 7 yards to work with. Well, 3 yards in the spread offense from just falling forward. Now let's see if the defensive line, though, can get that push. Obviously, they need to stop now. A 1-touchdown lead for FBA. Bunch formation, Sparacio wide right. They're going to go to the pass. Under pressure, Crossan looking, turns direction, throws into the end zone, and a touchdown. And that might just be, as they say, the final nail in the coffin with 6 minutes remaining. Secondary breaking down again.
Pass is complete to Landon Wolney for the 1-yard touchdown, although obviously it was much longer than that, but officially 1 yard in the books. And that means that the Lions take a 34-21 lead over the Mustangs with right around 5:37 to go in the ballgame.
And Montejo into the game. Out of the hold of Sparacio. Ball up. Kick good. And it's 35-21.
Montejo has the PAT, and that extends the Lions' lead 35-21 with, again, 5:37 to go in the ballgame.
Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the site, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. I'm Neil Fisher along with Mark Barchi. And Mark, we are not far from desperation time here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium as Benjamin tries to weave his way out of that host of FBA special teams. He does get a solid return.
And a flag on the play.
The sun.
That's a very, very late flag. So whatever it is, it's going to annoy a coach.
So obviously the sun is not out, but speaking metaphorically, it might be going down here very quickly on Wekiva. They're going to have to make some plays and force some action. Down by 2 touchdowns with 5.5 minutes remaining.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct called against the Lions kicking team, That's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. Mustangs take over with 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line.
So something we're not accustomed to seeing, Mark, is the penalty on the opponent.
Yeah, a rare moment of...
Only the 4th. Now, I will admit this, though, Mark. I believe Wekiva's only committed 2 or 3 penalties in the second half.
Yeah, so clearly whatever Coach Schwartz said at halftime seems to have done something.
At least as far as the penalties. And that's Filius pounding ahead. 3 yards. A flag comes in at the end of the play. It does stop
Tyree
the clock.
Filius on the carry, and he provisionally has a gain of a few yards, but there is a penalty marker on the field.
A must-win situation for Wekiva. They come in 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, the math is so complicated anymore as we get the call here.
Yeah, Mark is
Dead ball
talking.
personal foul is called against the Lions. That's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, and that will, of course, be enough for a Mustang first down.
So the Lions losing some of their poise and nerves.
Yeah, 30 yards in
two
two
back-to-back
plays.
15-yard penalties.
Actually, that did not move 15 yards. That moved about 7. I'm not going to pretend to understand what just happened.
So the ball is at the FBA 43.
In any case, though, what I started to say was that now that we use the Max Preps power ranking system, this is not like in the NFL where all games are created equally. Oh, I see. It's 2nd down. Okay, they moved the chains in error. I'm following now.
Okay, so there was not a penalty.
2nd down and 3. Okay, so as I had started to say a moment ago, this is not like in the NFL where you can predict a static number of possible outcomes and you can evaluate every possible scenario that could happen and what is possible and what is not possible in the last 3 games or 4 games of the season. Because of the power ranking system, there are an almost infinite number of possible combinations because your record, your opponent's record, your opponent's record all factor into your ranking, and you can imagine any number of scenarios where all of the teams that Wekiva have played win the whole rest of their season, and retroactively prop up Wekiva's strength of schedule. So is it impossible for Wekiva to make the playoffs even if they lose here and drop under 500 tonight? It's not impossible, but the odds certainly start to dwindle if you fall below a 500 record this late in the season, no matter how good your strength of schedule is.
Yeah, and again, for Wekiva, that you have to also take into account who they're playing. Again, we've talked about it since we first went on the air about 3 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago. Wekiva finishes the season against Jones and Apopka, which are a tremendous amount of points to be won. But it's not going to matter if they don't win tonight and then next week against Horizon. Wekiva also has been, just like Mark said, is still a possibility, but it's extremely low, less than 5% of winning the district after losing to Edgewater last week. So it might be the last opportunity for Wekiva to have a shot at pulling this victory out.
4 minutes
set,
remaining in the ball
trips
game.
Up high. Davis under pressure, finds Gay on that right hash mark, and Gay breaks out of the pack, and he's going to score. Rumbles into the end zone. 43 yards. Hope is not lost for Wekiva yet. 34, 27, 35, 27 PAT pending.
Pass complete to Anthony Gay, and he has a 43-yard Mustang touchdown. That cuts the Lions lead to 35-27 with 3 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the ball game.
And the band certainly does not believe that hope is lost as the fight song blares blares on the home side. And now Nate Fritchley in for a PAT, and can't stress it enough. An important PAT to keep that score within 7. He's 3 for 3 tonight. Ball down, kick up, and no good.
So the score remains 35-27 with 3:50 to go in the ball game.
So maybe I jinxed him, Mark, saying 3 for 3. But now that means Wekiva, if they do score, they're going to have to also go for the 2-point conversion. 35-27 the score. Roughly 3:45 remaining. Again, the scoreboard is not working at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, so the game clock you see on the screen
it's pretty darn close, because they told me 4 minutes, one play before that score.
So 14-14 at halftime. Wekiva scored the first touchdown. FBA scoring 3 consecutive to not only take the lead, but extend that lead to 2 touchdowns. 14 points. Wekiva answering a 50-yard drive on 4 plays, but it was essentially a quick strike, catch lightning in a bottle play. Davis to Gay for 43 yards. Gay catching the ball just beyond the first down marker. It was on 4th down too. Critical play. About the 40-yard line. Would have got a first down. He weaved for about 5 more yards and then broke a couple of tackles. And as they say, it was off to the races. And now, of course, we are in the situation Wekiva needs to come up with a stop.
Official time on that previous score, 3 minutes, 51 seconds. 3:51 remaining in the ball game.
So Fritchley runs in. It's an onside kickoff.
The hell, they just tipped their hand there. Flag on the play.
A penalty.
Well, keep in mind that if they ultimately do get a successful onside kick, a penalty is actually helpful here.
It gives them more room to operate. So that's a 5-yard penalty.
Illegal procedure on the kickoff, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot.
So again, Wekiva tries that onside kickoff. There's a lot of contact.
And another flag on the play. Now I can tell you exactly what that's going to be. They touched it before it went 10 yards. That's twice in a row. Fritchley just hasn't put enough mustard on it.
So again, as we are now 3 minutes 51 seconds from the end of this game, or at least regulation, Wekiva is not mathematically eliminated from playoff contention if they lose tonight, but the odds would be extremely low. I'd say probably less than 5%. They'd fall to 3-4 with only 3 games remaining. And again, their last 2 games are against Jones, the Jones Tigers, and the Apopka Blue Darters. And quite frankly, Mark, it would just be an incredibly disappointing season, one of those seasons that leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Flag on the play. The ball did not go 10 yards. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul, and the Lions take over at the Mustang 44-yard line.
Wekiva really expected to be in a better position than 3-3 at this point, as Watkins spins around. Another short pass, and the receiver doing the rest. That'll be a first down, and now
pass complete to Winston Watkins Jr., and that puts the ball way down in the red zone at the 19-yard line.
And that not only opens up the playbook for FBA, it was a 25-yard catch, but now they're thinking about taking time off that clock. I know they're not going to do like a running, they're not going to leave their offense, but Wekiva has to start thinking about clock efficiency. And they really can't afford another large play. They can't afford another first down.
No,
Giving up another first down.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, you're already down 2 scores and need a 2-point conversion. If that becomes 3 scores.
As Sporatio, we've seen this all night. And again, now Sporatio doesn't need to get those 3, 5, 4-yard gains. Not even 3. He just needs to stay in bound and keep the clock running.
Sporatio on the carry. That takes the ball to the right where it was before, the 19-yard line. And so it brings up 2nd and 10. And yes, Neil, I misspoke a minute ago. We were 2 scores down, now just 1 score.
Yeah, so even with Wekiva cutting that lead down to 1 touchdown, they're still in time matters mode. Ball into the left corner of the end zone. Yes, touchdown. 2.5 minutes left. Seen that replay 3 times tonight.
Jaden Petit has the catch for 19 yards. And that puts 41 on the, well, it would put 41 on the board if the board were on. But 41 points for the Lions. The Mustangs 27, about 2.5 to go here.
So Montero on. Montejo on, and he completes his 6th PAT of the night. 42-27, 2.5 roughly remaining. And Mark, I think that might have just been, as they say, the proverbial nail in the coffin. Wekiva's going to have to come back and score quickly like they did on that last play to have any shot. So Wekiva rolling the dice, and the dice did not pay off. That was the onside kickoff. That gave possession to FBA at their own 44-yard line, 56 yards in total with 3 plays. 2:35 remaining. And now, I don't mean this literally because the sun's not actually out, but the sun does appear to be descending on Wekiva metaphorically as they drop that ball. The fumble. And they do maintain possession, but certainly can't set up a return after fumbling it. And it is actually the first fumble of the game. Of course, down by 2 touchdowns, actually 15 points, so 2 touchdowns in a PAT. It really is not of significant consequence, the fumble. Wekiva's got to move the ball 85 yards, 2.5 left, but if you think about it, They really need to do it in less time than that. They still need to, I'd say, at least have a minute left on the clock to score the second touchdown. Of course, that's after they recover an onside kickoff.
You're talking 85 yards and an onside kick, and then however many yards again, and at least one of those has to have a 2-point conversion attached to it.
Yeah, and when you get that second, if you do score the touchdown and get the onside kickoff, you still need to have roughly a minute left. You still need to have some time to get that ball down the field as we get a stoppage. So 14-14 at halftime.
Flag on the play, offsides called against the Lions defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of first down.
And quite frankly, Mark, FBA has played much better. I'd say both teams were playing their B-minus game, maybe their B game in the first half. FBA has played their A game, Wekiva's played their C game in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, while they did clean up, oh no, that's not going to help the cause at all.
Yeah, and again, that clock keeps running unless Wekiva calls a timeout.
Which they do have 3 of them.
And they are not calling a timeout. So again, I really don't understand why you're not calling a timeout. But nonetheless, that is officially
that's a 2-yard loss on the fumble with a bad snap.
So as we approach 2 minutes, trips down low. They'll go to Gay, and he's not going to be able to get out of bounds.
Pass complete to Gay.
And Wekiva's still not calling it. They call it a timeout?
Penalty marker is on the play. Yeah, so I saw that they didn't need to call a timeout there because there was a flag down. And again, that's an approximate time on the clock, but it's pretty close. It's just under 2 minutes remaining. Looks like it's against the Lions here.
So the Lions, even though they are in a most likely to win situation, probably say about 90%, maybe even 95%. I'm sure their coach Sparacio is not happy with them not closing out this game strongly. They've made a couple of penalties now.
5-yard penalty against the Lions, and now brings up 2nd and 4.
Ball is at the Wekiva 22-yard line.
And I just got confirmation that clock is accurate.
So under 2 minutes now, clock continues to tick. Davis steps back. He's going to launch an intermediate length pass. Caught. Bennett's still on his feet. He's down the sideline. Could this be the miracle Wekiva needs? Boy, Bennett's sure rolling out his A game, doing everything he can.
Joshua Bennett with a big completion for the Mustangs. And that takes the ball all the way down to the 30-yard line of Lions territory, 1st and 10 Wekiva.
48-yard completion.
The one thing I will criticize there is he didn't go out of bounds at the end of the play, so that means that the clock only stops to move the chains and then restarts.
Well, to their credit, they are lined up and ready to go when the whistle blows. So again, you need to not only score, but you need to score and still have some time left, roughly a minute. And now another quick pass. Way out of bounds over the intended receiver. So that'll bring up 2nd and 10. More importantly, though, because there is 1:08 remaining. Ball at the 30-yard line. Wekiva needing 2 touchdowns. FBA with the 42-27 lead. Empty backfield, not a surprise. 5 receivers, a quick screen to Smith, trying to make his way out of bounds, and he's not going to come close. Does gain about 7 yards, but again, clock keeps ticking.
And that is enough to move the chains for a Mustang first down.
So it is a first down, which does keep stop the clocks from moving momentarily.
Ball is spotted at the 20-yard line.
A 10-yard gain. Odds are still long against Wekiva.
And the Mustangs request their first timeout of the second half.
With 47 seconds remaining. However, Wekiva has done enough in this drive, starting at their own 15-yard line, to at least keep some hope of pulling this out alive. Score was 14-14 at halftime. So a 28-13 advantage in the second half for FBA. They scored three consecutive touchdowns coming out of that half. They scored on their first possession to tie the score, and then they extended the lead up to 2 touchdowns.
Official time, 30 seconds. 30 seconds remaining in the ball game.
And that was Mark Barchi, our public address announcer, as well as my on-air partner. So even if they do score, Mark, and this is what I was saying, it's going to be extremely long odds with only 30 seconds remaining. You pretty much got to get the ball into the end zone in the next 10 seconds or so, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. The long pass, caught! And, no, yes, touchdown! Hope
Pass
still alive.
complete to Joshua Bennett for a Mustang touchdown. That cuts the Lions' lead to 42-33 with 23 seconds left in the ball game.
And I believe I think Wekiva is going to go for the 2-point conversion as well.
That was from the 20, right, Neil?
Yes. So 23 seconds remaining. Still need a miracle, but maybe not quite as big a miracle. Going for the 2-point conversion right now. Not going to try the PAT. Davis under pressure. Throws. Caught. Down back to 7 with 20 seconds remaining.
The 2-point conversion is complete to Anthony Gay. The Mustangs make up the previous missed PAT, and they now trail by 1 touchdown. 42-35 is your score, with about 20 seconds or so left in the game.
So not quite over yet. Of course, we're going to see an onside kickoff. And, of course, you also have to go back, and obviously it's easier to question Coach Schwartz in hindsight, but if you remember, last possession for FBA began at the 50 after recovering an onside kickoff. So, again, I understand the situation at that point. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what Wekiva's going to score again or even get the ball, but there still is an element of what could have been, as Fritchley sets up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is going to be an onside, but, to your point,
20
Neil,
seconds remaining.
Wekiva did clean up what we said they needed to clean up, which was the discipline and the penalties, which actually swung the other direction, and the Lions struggled with that in the second half. However, Wekiva's defense, which had been so airtight otherwise.
There's the onside kickoff. Trickle, trickle, trickle. Looks like a sandlot dust storm, and not sure who came up with it.
Both sides seem optimistic here. We'll wait for the official signal.
As the band continues to play to our right. And obviously this is the ball game. And it is going to be won by FBA.
And the signal is that it is Lions ball. Yeah, so Wekiva has 2 timeouts here, but I don't know that it helps.
Yeah, there's only 20 seconds remaining. Actually, a little less than 20.
That's an estimate.
It's an estimate, but still, you're not going to have much more. We're looking at maybe 25 seconds, and FBA can run 4 plays, and as you said, only 2 timeouts. And then even if they do stop them, they still would have to throw the ball into the end zone. So, want to take one last opportunity to thank the students who are part of the broadcast production department program at Wekiva High School. Under the direction of Mark Washington, they handle the video aspects. We would not be able to put on these broadcasts without them. As Crossan takes the last snap, goes to his knees, and that will do it. And unfortunately, as we have mentioned throughout this game, Mark, Wekiva not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but the odds are probably less than 5% now as they drop to 3-4. A 14-14 tie at halftime. FBA showing their diversity on offense with running and passing, getting the big plays when they needed them to set up 4 touchdowns. They were down by a touchdown, 21-14, scored 3 in a row to not only tie the score, take the lead, but extend it. And the two teams traded touchdowns the rest of the way. Wekiva just running out of time and making some bad plays defensively to allow, which will open the door for FBI.
That takes us to the end of the ball game, and the Lions are able to run out the clock in spite of the Mustangs' valiant comeback attempt. 42-35 is the final score here in Week 7. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out to join us for Friday Night Lights. Special thanks to those of you who made the trip all the way from Naples. We wish you safe travels home. Thanks to all of our Mustang fans who joined us here at Mustang Field or online on YouTube or the NFHS network. We invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter. We are at Wekiva Sports on all 4 of those services, and bookmark WekivaMustangs.com for all of your scores, schedules, and more. Speaking of schedules, the Mustangs still have a few games left in them. Next week is senior night. We have just 4 home games this year, and they are all stacked in the middle of the season. So Week 8 coming up next week, October 13th, the Mustangs host the Horizon Hawks at 7 p.m. That will be senior night, and we hope that you will join us for that. That'll be the last home game of the year. Then Mustangs will finish the season on the road. They are at Jones on October 20th. They get a bye week on the 27th, and then they finish the season per tradition at Apopka for the Mayor's Cup. That'll be November 3rd. Once again, thanks for coming out and joining us tonight. For those of you here in the stadium, please drive carefully and arrive home safely. And for those of you who are joining us online, thanks so much for being here tonight. We hope you will subscribe before you go. We'll see you next week to wrap up the season. For Neil Fisher, this is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, wishing you a good night and a great weekend.